Okay.
What is up, dudes, dudettes, and all the beautiful people of the interwebs? It is Saturday, so you know what time it is. So join us and strap in as we go beyond. Welcome to the United States of Smash, and I have to tell you, today's episode is absolutely special. We've all been talking about it. We've all been hyped for it. The war finally came, and the dust has settled. And who's left standing at the end of it is going to surprise you. And ooh, there's just so much to unpack. And here we called for Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And we have some great guests with us today, people that I love and some returning friends of ours. So let's get right in here into the introductions. Let's see. Let's start with our special guests because we got some very special ones. All the way blessing us from the round table. It is the King and the Lord himself. What is up with you, David, my man?
Right now, I am chilling. Brought Little Hawk with me. I heard we supposed to smash it out, right? But
Yeah.
if we're gonna smash it out, I think Little Hawk is not enough. We might have to bring his brother. But I can't wait to get into these topics. Oh man, I've been anticipating this since we talked last night. So let's get it on, baby.
I'm glad to hear that. Of course, our returning man who's always extra, the dragon himself. What is up with you, 108 Dragons TV?
What's good? What's good? It's always a pleasure to be here. Can't wait to learn something new from you guys. And we got some great topics to cover. Some real good information to give out, too. Thank you for having me.
Man, it's always good to have you out here. Man, I gotta tell you, as everyone knows, I just had that surgery, man. It is messing with me, so I'm gonna be a little bit toned down today. But let's get into our last special guest. A man who's never been on any show before, who's finally making his debut. Give it up from our brother from across the pond, Mr. Jamie Moran.
All right, well, it's good to be on, and I've literally just got back from seeing the film, and there's some emotions going on.
Ooh, fresh from the film. Let's go.
Oh, his mic's muted.
We got a fresh one in, huh?
Yeah, we got a fresh one.
That's what I want. Because your opinion is gonna be right off the top. Like mine is skewed over a couple of I think a week of thinking about it and trying to figure out exactly what they were doing. So,
maybe a couple drinks or two.
A lot of drinks.
There you
go. A lot of.
And now back on to our usual suspects. It's the man with no plan. As always, it's Mr. Operation.
They killed him. They killed my nigga Black Panther.
Already jumping straight to the
God damn. No warning.
No, you already know it's Spoilercast. We're getting
Oh shit.
It's
gonna be one of those episodes. All right, let's do this. We're still live. Okay, no, we're not.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yeah, no, okay. Looks like Google Hangouts is doing its thing again, where it's just going to be like, hey, we're going to work it out.
Asthmatic internet. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. And then the last man on our
Don't
panel,
worry, we dance with it.
Yeah, we dance with it. We go with it. And of course, the last man on our panel, our usual suspect and resident Spartan. What's up with you, Neth Lees?
What's going on, people? Finally back at it and making videos. I just got another audio done, actually. So tune in tomorrow. Another video is about to go up.
Hey, that's what's up, brother.
It's a selfless plug.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do.
You better plug.
Hey, you got it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, he got me. Gonna tune in. Plug, baby, plug.
Now, King, you and Jamie, since it's the first time on here on the show, especially for such a special episode, I want you to introduce yourselves a little bit and tell them where you're from, what you do, and your little history with our little geeky culture here.
Well, okay. I'm Lord King David from Iron Lords Podcast. Iron Lords Podcast is Sunday at 1 p.m. Shameless plug. I've been gaming, I don't know, since Vectrex.
Ooh.
All right, so yeah, exactly. Yeah, I still got a Vectrex too. I'm
fuck is
I'm
that?
stockpiling on my system. It's a self-contained system. It was like a tabletop, and the controller went inside the system, and you pull it out. And Vectrex graphics were line graphics, like Asteroids. Asteroids was its big game, and then Battlefield. It was an old game. And it was just line based.
Yeah.
Vectrex was so much fun. It was, for me, it was fantastic because I was able to
Classic.
plug it in the wall, and it was like around yay big, and by myself playing tabletop Pac-Man, tabletop Donkey Kong, tabletop Popeye, all those tabletop games. I was a fool for those. Then Game in Pocket when Nintendo showed up. That's how I knew about Mario from handhelds, Donkey Kong Jr. And then I went on to Atari 2600, all the way up to 7800. I had ColecoVision and television. The first time I really got into serious gaming is when I saw Genesis, and I heard "Rise from Your Grave." I was in the Wiz, and I was walking past, and it said "Rise from Your Grave." I said, "Oh shit, this is it." Happening right now, because we was always in the arcade, and then from there I just stayed with it. Every system that came out, from Neo Geo, $250 cartridges, to Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, Street Fighter imports, everything.
You
I
have the
probably
Game
had Street
Gear?
Fighter in every form. Yes, had Game Gear.
Yeah, Game
I had
Gear.
Turbo Express. I had the Nomad. I still have them. I have Wonder Swan. Like, I'm trying to put together a little museum. So
Oh man,
I
you
got
a real collector right there. Oh, you taking me back.
I'm a nut for this. So when somebody says they've been down for this culture for a minute, I've been down for this culture since the culture started.
Yeah.
And to see us striving and thriving is crazy. We used to be looked at as little geeks and stuff like that, and I don't fit the mold of a geek that got bullied. I was like probably the bully. But we'll fight, and then you'll figure out. We figure out that we like games, and that's how we bond. So.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Jamie, tell me about yourself, brother, especially since it's the first time anyone's really getting to know you outside of the few videos you've done in the past.
Yeah, well, I've been doing the YouTube thing for a few years now, barely been on a few podcasts, but no, I've been gaming since I was like 2 because my parents were gamers and they actually got me into it. So I've been gaming since the Atari 2600 and NES, then I moved on to the Mega Drive, and then the Nintendo 64, PlayStation, then Xbox, PS2, GameCube, PC, pretty much the Game Boy. I loved the Game Boy back in the day. But no, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm all about the Xbox. And yeah, I just like a lot of nerdy stuff.
Yeah. And I gotta say, Jamie Moran, like I've been a fan of yours for a while. Thanks. And I gotta say, man, you're like the Twitter fucking god. Every 2 seconds you get on that shit, Jamie Moran's right there with new post. Like that dude keeps Twitter in line.
I like Twitter.
Yeah, I'm about to say you must really like Twitter.
Keep Twitter alive. Let's be real.
Yeah, he really does. Anytime of night, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's always got a new post, new video, new game that some people may have never heard that he's just throwing out there every 5 seconds. He's taking care of everybody.
I like it.
Yeah, we can tell. How many thousand posts you got up there? Like 20,000, 30,000?
I can check right now.
He's like, you're lowballing it here.
Yeah. Well, I've been on Twitter since 2012, and I've tweeted 116,000 times.
Oh man.
My Lord.
Oh,
good to have you on.
Yeah, it's good to have you here, Jamie. I know we've been talking for a long time, and you were excited for Avengers, and you actually were telling me that you had to drive like, what was it, 30 minutes to an hour away because there's not a cinema where you are in the UK.
Well, where I live, there's a 2-screen cinema, and the second screen at that cinema, you may as well have some dude holding an iPad. The screen's that small.
Oh, man.
Hey, Jamie, you have to tell them what you told me though.
Yes.
What are they doing? They were showing potatoes.
So they were showing a film about potatoes, and I was really mad about it. So today I get into town, and I decided to actually go to the cinema, and they said they have the Avengers on. And I said, "Can I get 2 tickets?" And they said we booked for the next 2 weeks. So that was me screwed. So we had to hop on the train to Newcastle. So that's like 40 miles away or something. We had to get to the other end of the city to get to the cinema. Got the best seats in the house, exact center, you know.
Nice.
And as a person that loves Marvel and DC, I lean towards DC more. But I'll say this:
That's a real man right there.
Marvel,
real man admit that.
Marvel is curb stomping DC.
Hey,
Literally
you know what's up. You
stomping.
know. He isn't in denial about it.
I'll leave my DC alone.
Y'all leave my
DC left it. DC left itself alone.
Yeah, they did.
Keeping it real.
Yeah, they're killing it. I can give them that.
Yeah.
Everything else.
Listen, they were hamstrung, to be honest with you, when it came to that. They were blindsided because they was ruling the movie industry for forever when it came to superheroes.
Yeah.
And the way they were doing it like one-shot comic books, opposed to stringing it across. The only thing that kind of strung it across was Superman, Christopher Reeves. And when they strayed from that formula, you know, with Batman, those are iconic characters. So putting them in areas for them to thrive was very easy. Batman kind of messed up with like the nipple Batman. Remember nipple Batman?
Batfleck. Wait, no, not Batfleck. My bad.
No. That
the
was
other
George
one.
Clooney.
George Clooney Batman. My bad.
Yeah, George Clooney. Like, we try to forget that certain people played Batman.
I remember. Trust me, I remember. I'm the one here.
Yeah, so you know, DC had a huge run, and what Disney did and Marvel did. I know we got other people to introduce themselves. Sorry, they changed the formula. So sorry.
Yeah,
They want to jump on DC like that. I just wanted you to know they had a hell of a run.
Yeah,
yeah. They did have a good run, but you did bring up a good point. Is that they did definitely treat it as a as one-offs, and they only had like a few of those movies that actually continued between some of those actors back with Batman, but not so much necessarily.
Yeah, how the mighty have fallen.
Yep, definitely. But it's good to see here on how everyone felt from it, because everyone has been awestruck, and hearing it from Jamie as a big DC fan himself. He's just like, when he messaged me earlier, he was just like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know what to do with my life. just so that just goes to show what kind of impact this film has had on a lot of people.
Man, I wish we had our damage controllers here, but they'll be back next week to talk about that shit. Let's just say there were some DM battles.
Definitely.
Y'all argue over Metacritic. Y'all did that for like 2 days straight.
Hey man, fuck that Metacritic. That was bullshit. 67 my ass.
That's on purpose.
But now that we've gotten everyone's introductions away, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Let's get into the juicy bits. This movie has so much into it in a 2.5 hour film. Literally, it's just so much is happening. And this is the last time you could really catch a spoiler warning, even though Op already was saying stuff, because he's the L master here. Yep.
Hey, it's in the title. Leave me alone.
Somebody's older than Lemon in here?
Listen, me. I'm pretty sure I'm older than you, Lemon.
How old are you?
45, baby.
Nope.
Are you serious?
The battle of ages.
I was born in 72.
Are you serious?
I'm 46.
Me too.
Oh yeah, so you're close.
My birthday is March 12th.
My birthday is, man, you beat me by a couple of months. Mine's in July.
You ain't got shit on me.
I know, right? You want to come out all fast and early?
Don't have me drop my license up here.
Don't do that. You probably got some stalkers out there. Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful. Show up at your house. Hey, let's hang out. You want to build a snowman?
I'll build a snowman, but it's not the kind of snow you want.
Whoa. Yo, let me ask y'all a question. Does anybody know Marvel's first superhero?
Wasn't it Namor?
Yes, sir. You got that right.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple of books right here.
The Submariner himself.
I'm a real collector, not those fake collectors.
Oh
that's
shit!
out there.
Yeah, about to say that shit mint.
Yeah, mint, real mint.
Well, I
just
got
took
rid of
some
all
books
my
out.
collection when people stop buying comics in the drought.
Oh no, I went harder. I'm gonna give you a real backstory real quick. My favorite character is the Hulk. If I go whatchamacallit real quick, not on camera, you'll see that that is the Maestro, and that's my
He's my favorite.
Oh, that's fucking dope.
So I guess
my favorite.
I guess you didn't like the movie.
No, but I'm gonna give you why why that happened. I'm gonna give you it's political reasons why that happened. It's financial reasons why that happened, and there's an overarching story that the Russo brothers said that they was gonna do with the Hulk because of the entwine with Universal.
Okay, so overall, he's saying he's gonna go World Breaker Hulk and Damage Control for this shit.
No, I'm not gonna give Damage Control at all. At all. I don't have no excuse for what they wanted to do.
I need counseling.
My books speak for themselves. I got a crap ton of Hulk books. I'm probably the biggest Hulk fan that you will ever see. I got statues that are ranging from $2,000, from $500 to $2,000. If you want to pan over, you can catch the Hulk, Thanos, and the rest of those guys over there. I'll give you all the tour of the room a little bit later.
Oh, I see a challenge.
No, it ain't no challenge. If you can zoom in back there, ain't no challenge. You can stop that down. You can stop it early. I'll put that away. But okay. The reason why I'm so enamored with the Hulk is because when I was younger, I had a fight with a friend of mine, and we talked crap the day before. So I was playing basketball right before school, and he came in there with his two brothers, and he said, "Remember what you said about my moms?" I'm like, "No, not really." I was probably like around 9-10 years old, and he grabbed me in the headlock and he took me down to the floor. And when he had me on the floor, I felt like claustrophobic, like trapped in. And on a TV show when David Banner goes, his little eyes do that. Well, I did that on the floor because I identified with the Hulk. And I jumped up and I said, "Raw!"
You trying to tell me that shit worked?
No, it didn't, but in my head it did. In my head it worked. It worked like hell in my head because it got me out of that chokehold. And I punched him in the mouth and I knocked his tooth out. And his bigger brother was there. His brother was like 16. Won't take a swing at a 10-year-old. Duck, ran, got my cousin. End story. But I identified with it because of how I felt the Hulk was. Like as a child, you always want to feel stronger or better than what you are. And David Banner was a meek guy, and he was able to turn into this monstrosity that can protect him. That translates in the movie because what the Russos did, if nobody knows what happened inside that movie with the Hulk, and it may seem like I'm damage controlling, but I'm not.
It was
the Hulk gets this.
Well, it was a lot of subliminal bullshit, but as a Hulk fan, we all know. Let's just keep it official. Thanos couldn't do that shit to the Hulk. Nah, man. Let me tell you why. With that gauntlet on, man. Listen.
Right. But okay. So all right. So the Hulk starts off with class 85 tons, right?
Right.
His baseline is 85 tons. Thanos starts off with class base 100 plus, right?
Right.
Because he's a Titan. So already he comes at an advantage over the Hulk when it comes with strength, but he doesn't rise past his strength level.
Right.
The Hulk rises past strength level to ungodly. Right. When he gets upset.
Right. And he should have been very upset.
Yeah, but he didn't get a chance to. He was winning the fight. Like he ran up on him. He was hitting him. Got you. And then shit happened.
And then he turned into Bruce Lee.
Thanos caught that hand and beat the comb into the boy.
Yo. First he had the Power Stone. All right.
Yeah,
that's That's one. Then Thanos is a tactician. He's in this movie.
Yeah, in the
he
movie.
is a trained combat veteran. The Hulk in this MCU is a child. He's childlike Hulk.
Yeah,
Remember, he's his father used to beat his mother and used to beat him in drunken stupids before he killed his mother. This is the mythos, or this is what they're using going forward. This is how he manifests the Hulk. David Banner has multiple personality disorder. And in having multiple personality disorder, he formed the Hulk to take the beatings for him because the Hulk was strong enough to take it, and David Banner wasn't. So this manifestation of this mental character that he made up came out after he got bombarded by gamma energy, right?
Yep.
But the mentality of that same character is the mentality of a 7 or 8 year old kid.
Yeah.
That's why in Thor Ragnarok, puny arms and little jokes, and you're like, Hulk is cute. But if you look at it in this universe, you will say Thor is stronger.
Yeah, and that's not the truth either.
It's not, but God ruined Thor. God ruined Thor is. And they made Thor into God ruined Thor.
Yeah, I see that.
You understand?
No,
because they own him.
Yeah.
They own him. That. So I gotta hear your things. I gotta hear your opinion because I can give you exactly why the Hulk was afraid. Because if you whip a child's ass, he's afraid.
Yeah. Because he can fight it for so long, but when you keep handing it to him, he's gonna have to calm the hell down. And at first, he thought that Thanos was gonna take it. He thought that he was doing something, but as soon as Thanos like started beating him real bad, more than he could even, because in this universe, they focus more on Hulk being the berserker, but not always necessarily strong. Because we saw that in Ragnarok. Well, he was going up against people who were strong. They didn't have the brute strength that Hulk does. You know, they don't have that, and he was stuck there on Sakaar.
They demonstrated his strength. They demonstrated his strength in the first Avengers when he knocked that dragon out the sky.
Knocked out the Leviathan.
Right.
The Chitauri.
Right.
Yeah, they showed that there's
it's
very
like
few that can compare
they
his strength.
They don't want to. It's like with Civil War. They took Thor and Hulk out of the movie on purpose, so there was no mismatch.
Yeah,
technically they'll kill all of
them. They didn't want. Okay, they had to remove them out from that because those are the power players.
Right. Those are heavy guns.
So you're gonna have the Hulk smash Black Panther?
Yeah.
Like,
right. Like that's not really a matchup, right? But
yeah,
they gotta stop doing my man like this. I'm tired of this already.
He's not owned by Disney.
Yeah.
It's like they put him on a leash. You know what I'm saying?
No, you know what it is? They're not building him up. Like, okay, you got Thor that
he
lost
got 3 movies coming.
His whole family.
No. He has a story arc that was running 3 movies because it was started in Ragnarok and it's going in Infinity War and Avengers 4. They're trying to expand them, but they still don't have the full publishing rights because that's all owned by Paramount.
And Disney and Marvel is petty. Let me tell you how petty they are. They killed off the X-Men because they didn't own them.
That's true.
They killed off the Fantastic Four because they didn't own them. So when they're acquiring these characters back, guess who's coming back from the dead? Guess Wolverine is no longer dead.
Yeah, because we talked about this a while back. Is that they ended the Fantastic Four comic back in 2012, and the Fantastic Four is one has a storied history because they're known as the first family because they're the first real group of superheroes back in the day. And I announced, and we're talking about is that they announced that they're bringing back the comic line and rebooting them and bringing them back after all this talk about the Fox acquisition, everything. And because they already stated too that there was I actually read a breakdown because they were talking about with Deadpool right now that they made the Thanos joke in the trailer and that Disney told them they got to remove it out. Yeah,
that was so
but they explained it and actually found the documents that they're talking about is that they stated once the acquisition is finished, all the characters that we've seen from Fox are going to be in the MCU, and Deadpool's going to be the first ones to make the quickest transition with his group because they're technically not part of the X-Men universe and full Fox. They can make the transition easier compared to what we see with like the First Class universe, which are in their own bubble.
Well, I blame Marvel. This has nothing to do with Disney. It's all Marvel giving away their characters. And they shouldn't did that.
It was during the
only way.
Yeah, they would have been gone. In fact, even Iron Man, they gave away Iron Man, believe it or not, and they got him back later. That's when they made the movie.
Yeah, that's when they started getting him back.
Just like that time stone.
Yeah.
Just like that time stone, and they had to give that time stone away. It's the only way, brother. It's the only way.
Yeah. And they were just like, it's all gonna play out. It's all gonna play out in the end. Just watch us. We played the long game.
This is the end game right here.
Yeah, it's the end game.
Yeah, that's the name of the next movie. They don't even have Namor back, and they want Namor.
I got a question for y'all.
Well, right? Namor, they've talked about Namor is in a precarious predicament because since he was originally owned by, I think it was either Paramount or Panasonic, but they lost the rights. They don't revert back to Marvel. They're kind of stuck in limbo until they can find a solid way to get the rights for Namor. That's the only reason.
It's 4 people that own him. The one dude that owns him that's a piece of that does not want to give it up.
No, he does not.
Like they're making
They're going to wait to poison him and kill his ass to get the rights out of him.
Oh.
Some people who are just a piece of shit like that.
Oh, man, that's fucked up. Because we got to have the Submariner, man.
Oh, okay. Nobody really understands how important this one movie was. The setup.
A lot.
It's
it
like
really was.
It's huge because they did it like a one-arm boxer with one eye. Half the characters aren't there. So to pull this movie off in the fashion that they did, it's incredible.
It is.
That they even got it to screen.
It is. They handled because some people still don't know is that this follows not the Infinity War storyline because we stated before it's a misnomer. It follows the Infinity Gauntlet story arc from the comics. It's following that story arc, and there's so many primary characters that were not there in the movie. However, what they have set up with a lot of what they stated that's going on in the background for the future was great because right now we're still talking about the very first 15 minutes on the Asgardian ship when Thanos had attacked right at the end of Ragnarok Thor and the rest of the Asgardians. We know half of the Guardian or the Asgardians are still alive, but they were sent somewhere else. He killed half of them, such as Heimdall, and he killed Loki. But if you heard when he showed the Power Stone, he said, "I decimated Xandar." People don't know what that entails for the future because the decimation of Xandar is what sets the foundation for Nova, who is
Nova
one
Prime.
of the big Nova Prime, the human rocket.
The human rocket. Now, do you think they're gonna use Richard Rider, or are they gonna use the new kid, the little kid?
I think they're going to use Richard Rider, and my take on that is that John C. Reilly's character from the Nova Corps, I think he may. My thought is that he had part.
He does not.
No, not John C. Reilly. I'm saying what he did is that he has one of the suits from the Nova Corps, and he was one of the people that escaped the decimation of Xandar. And while he was floating, that he ends up landing on Terra or Earth as we know it, and ends up meeting Richard Rider and giving him the power that unlocks for him to touch into the Nova Force to become the human rocket. That sets up a lot for the cosmic, because we know that with Guardians 3 that they've confirmed is going to set up more for the cosmic universe, and with Captain Marvel coming next year, we know they're touching into the cosmic side. So them showing
Captain Marvel is coming out before Avengers 4, right?
Yeah, because she's going to have a part in it, but she's a main part of the cosmic entity of the Marvel universe. Even though she later leads the Avengers, she still has heavy ties to the cosmic side. So with them just talking about the decimation of Xandar, it puts heavy foundations for Nova to bring the human rocket to the big screen.
I have a question for y'all.
What's up?
After seeing credits, right? Y'all didn't have a problem with that? Don't y'all think?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
We'll get there in time. Trust me.
My bad.
We're gonna go through it.
I just think Nick Fury's too damn smart. He knows too much.
But that's out of control, though.
He does know too much.
Well,
he knows too much. Now he knows absolutely too much. I mean, he don't know nothing about that.
But he's always making moves. That he's always been planning everything.
He's a strategist.
Galactic moves.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, all right. Let me flesh this out for you real quick, because just not to spoil the end of the show, but let me just flesh it out real quick for you. You know when Captain Marvel takes place, right? The movie, right?
In the 90s.
Yeah.
All right, it takes place in the 90s. Now the question is, what the hell happened from that part to this part? Because they're gonna introduce the Skrulls. When they introduce the Skrulls, then they're gonna introduce the Kree. Then you're gonna have the Kree-Skrull War. You're gonna find out who Captain Marvel is, the powers, and stuff like that. I want to know how they're gonna work that out without working out the original Captain Marvel, one of my favorite characters. And the Nega Bands and Rick Jones and stuff like that. I want to know if they're gonna do it, if they're gonna work with it, even though Rick Jones is tied to the Hulk. But that powerful character, we have to figure out where that character is. Is she locked up by the Kree? You know, is she?
Wasn't they fighting the Skrulls in the movie?
Mm-hmm.
In what movie?
In her movie, they're gonna explore the Skrull Kree War.
Oh, that was no, that was Chitauri.
That was a Chitauri.
That was a Chitauri.
Chitauri.
Yes.
Male and female was Chitauri.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
You talking about what female?
The one that was trying to capture Vision, and they
No. Proxima Midnight. She's of a different race. She's
a different race.
She looks like a damn.
She's our Wonder Woman. She's our one. Yo, you so stupid.
Wait a minute.
You said she looks like.
Ain't they supposed to be one of these Avengers undercover something?
You are touching on a different. You're touching on Secret Wars,
right?
Right. You're touching on that book, and that book has to.
They was going with it.
They're gonna. That's a whole. You are bringing your comic book knowledge and putting it in the MCU,
right?
And you're trying to see how it's gonna navigate,
right?
And you notice that your comic book knowledge worked some part in this movie, but it really didn't work at all.
The grand screen.
Right. That's exactly
because Odin makes Stormbreaker. You understand?
Right.
And that's Beta Ray Bill, but Beta Ray Bill was touched on inside Thor Ragnarok. So how the hell does how does that happen without you understand?
Yeah,
I think they're just taking the characters and making great movies. That's what I think they're doing. They're touching on some stuff and they're just adding a little bit and bring it all to one whole, because technically you can't follow the comic books because there's too many goddamn stories.
But they're taking the adaptations in as good a way as they can, because
they're doing a great job.
They're like we talked about, some of the changes that I've made for certain characters have been phenomenal. Some have been less than stellar, but we've seen some of the changes that they did. Like Thanos in this movie, and I stated this last week, was another great, well done transition from what we know in the comics to making sense within the movie and understanding his motivation. And in the comics, we all know that the reason he wanted to destroy half of all humanity is because he wanted to court Lady Death. He wanted to impress her to win her affection. Where in this one, he states that he wanted to bring balance because of what he saw in Titan, that there's overpopulation, that there's no food,
hunger,
there's death because of the fact that everyone's
he's a galactic humanitarian, damn it.
But look at it this way. But look at it this way. We all know that he's a madman, he's violent, he's crazy. However, all crazy men think they're right, and in some ways they do have
he
make
was right.
Have a point.
Yeah, they do have a point.
He's going about it wrong.
Okay. let me tell you, Jim's
aside.
Jim Starlin's character when he first made Thanos was simple. His motivations were very simple: kill, loot. He was like a space pirate, and then they called him the Mad Titan. That he killed off his whole race on Titan, and his motivation for doing so was for Lady Death. They fleshed this character out over a period of time with subsequent books because Infinity Gauntlet was so good that people wanted more from that character. Now, yeah, he wanted to court Lady Death, and he thought Lady Death was the utmost for him, and he figured by killing as much people as possible, bringing these offerings to her, she would look his way. That never happened at all.
Because of her infatuation with Deadpool, someone she could never have.
Because he can't die.
Exactly.
So
and they even explored that in the Thanos and Deadpool comics.
Yes. But people don't understand that Thanos isn't as complicated, well, before as he is now. Now he, through Infinity, the book Infinity, through the backstory of Thanos, you found out that he was a lovable kid. I believe that his psychotic powers allowed him to manifest death because he didn't have any friends. When those kids died in the cave and they blamed it on him that he ate the kids because he looked different than everybody else, and it forced him to make a friend because he didn't have a friend. So he made a little girl. So this little girl was always there encouraging him to do bad things, like kill his moms, like dissect her, like kill off these people, like capture people and try to figure out how the body works. So that his psychosis changed from that part of being ostracized from the community as a child. And they went on into how he became who he is when he decided to kill all of his children that he fathered throughout the galaxy and came up on Thane, which actually put a stop to him. In the books, they gave a deeper thought into him. The MCU took that and said, yo, how about if he loves one person, and we'll get into that part, I'll let you introduce that, and this is his motivation in the movie. This is where the Soul Stone is, because we was all dying like, where's the Soul Stone? Is it in Wakanda? And Captain America got it in his pocket. Iron Man has it in his chest. You know, all types of weird things. And to have them pull it together how they did, it brought a tear to my eye in the movie.
Yeah, and one of the big things that they added when you're talking about how they expanded and really fleshed Thanos out over the past, few decades since the Infinity Gauntlet and really going through the Infinity storyline, is that one of the things too that people don't know is that besides how you're explaining that the little girl was enticing him to kill his mother, is that when he was born, his mother actually tried to kill him while she was still in the operating room. After his father handed her to him, like he was proud of it, she wanted to kill him. Just a baby. She tried to kill him. Yeah, exactly. That's something that really adds a lot to his dynamic, and the way that they really pulled him together to make him so compelling throughout this film was.
I actually right now I'm in Utopia right now, right? Because half the time I can't talk to people about these books. I can't, like, I'm trying to talk and they're looking at me like
what are you talking about right now? What are you talking about? and real quick, Jamie just sent us a tweet where he was talking about during Civil War. He tweeted that he was with hashtag Team Cap, and I was right there with you. And apparently Paul Bettany responded back to him saying that him and Team Cap was going down.
That was so good. Awesome.
Yo, that's awesome. That's legit. That's legit right there. I just retweeted that because that's something cool. But like I said, because and think about this, King, is that we're talking about this right now, right? This is literally just the first 15-20 minutes that we've been able to go off on all these tangents to talk about how they correlate to the comics and have these greater pool. This is just the first 20 minutes. While Thanos is still on the ship after beating the shit and nearly killing Thor and half the Asgardians. We haven't even gotten into the rest of the movie yet.
You made a misnomer and you said that he saved half the Asgardians. He killed all of them.
What did he? Because there was a.
I thought you said half of them are gone.
Yeah, there was.
No, he blew up the ship.
Well, he blew up the ship, but he sent half of them away because
I think they went on escape pods.
I think it was the writer.
Oh, so they got away on escape pod.
Yeah, because Valkyrie and shit are alive.
Yeah, the writer.
You're right.
Went to a I think it was a school. They were doing a special thing, and people were asking him, and he did confirm that Thanos did kill half the Asgardians and sent the other ones away on the escape pods and destroyed the rest of the Asgardian ship. That's why he left those who were closest to Thor, like Heimdall, Loki, Thor, and then he sent everyone else. Like the major people who revolted back and didn't like stay away were the ones that he killed.
Okay.
Yeah, because if it was like comic book Thanos, he probably would have killed everyone. But this one doesn't necessarily believe in that.
Yeah,
he believes in balance.
Believes in half.
Balance.
Yeah.
No, let me just get half. Awesome. Marvel has found a way, the same thing they did with Killmonger, to make you really see the side of the villain.
Yeah. And they explore that throughout the film, and that's what makes it so compelling. Because from the Thor ship right there on the Asgardians, after he beats Hulk and we see Hulk's really affected, Heimdall makes the last attempt using the Bifrost to send Hulk back to Earth, and we see the death of Heimdall and Loki right after Loki's forced to give Thanos the Tesseract.
That was good punch.
Yeah, like I was sad when he stabbed Heimdall and just killed him because I liked Heimdall. I liked Idris Elba. It was, and then right afterwards, Loki trying to do his typical thing, being the trickster god that he is. He offered the Tesseract and his undying loyalty,
and you could tell what was about to happen.
Yeah, because he did that before.
Make sense.
No, he was doing what he had to do to try and save it. Because we did see that he does have that change kind of about him over the past few films. We kind of seen that
made absolutely tactical. It was nonsensical tactically from the standpoint that he was not getting past Ebony Maw, Practical Midnight. He was not getting off of that ship, even if he killed Thanos, which he wouldn't have. But
I think he was making that decision as a, whether I live or die right now, I either live or die trying to do something, or I die just because of the fact that he's going to kill us anyways.
Yeah, and I also think it's like an artistic decision to show, like, hey, Loki, the piece of shit that's in like every Marvel movie, for once he looks at the audience and says, I'll do the right thing.
Yeah, because
and then he dies.
Yeah, because of the fact that remember when he led the Chitauri invasion,
he wasn't a piece of shit, he dies.
Yeah, because he led the Chitauri invasion because he was forced by Thanos. He was goaded by Thanos with the Tesseract to lead the invasion on New York back in the first Avengers, and now he's standing face to face with that force, this being who pushed him into that. And he didn't meet with Thanos before. He had Thanos's agents told Loki to do this. Now when you're face to face with that which has kind of goaded you and stalked you and been kind of this antithesis to what you've done and where you went wrong is right in front of you, wouldn't you want to take the chance to make things right if you had?
Yeah.
True.
And plus, I mean, he literally had Infinity Stones. Like, the man was scary.
Yeah. And the Loki has gotten his ass handed by Hulk in the first Avengers movie. He just watched the Hulk get his ass beat down by Thanos. I mean, he had to try something, or it was not going to be good anyway. I mean, it's something to bring up because it happened. There's no denying it.
Listen, I'm in the same boat you are. I know you're not feeling none of that. I had too many people on Twitter going at me because they know my avatar is the Hulk. They know my spirit animal is the Hulk. They know. Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. If you ever thought in your head that I will stop repping this dude, you are insane. That's never gonna happen. What you got is approximation of a Disney universe who don't own the rights to him. Let them own the rights to the Hulk. Let them. And look, what happens then?
Are they trying to
I want to see. I want to see.
Are they trying to get it?
They are trying to acquire him from Universal, but Universal figures that the way it's the same way Sony is doing with Spider-Man, right? They're making money with each other.
Yo.
So yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Yeah.
I really got you. I see you when you jump in and when you jump out, and I'm gonna jump in and we all gonna keep it going.
Yeah.
All right.
Hangouts is being insane today, man.
Don't worry about it. My Wi-Fi's popping right now.
Yeah,
Listen, they got so many stories for the Hulk to tell, and once they acquire it, because there's not going to be another Hulk movie. All right. So these overarching pieces that they're putting the Hulk in is to satiate the crowd, and because that's their MacGuffin. That's Marvel's MacGuffin. The Hulk is the Marvel's MacGuffin. He's the greatest equalizer that you can ever have.
Yeah.
And for them to show him get dismantled in such a fashion took away, we got a Hulk. Because when they said that before, shit went down.
Yep.
So like when Thor got smashed around before he turned into God Moon Thor. And he showed his inner strength that you actually got to see that he's a god.
Yep.
He's not a mortal. He's a god. But Loki was like, good. There it is. Now you know that it is. When he gets on you, that's what happens. It happens like that. And when Loki could not wait to say, we got a Hulk. We got a Hulk. Like, he couldn't wait to say that.
Yeah.
and the Hulk got smashed out, man.
Yeah. I just love Loki. Is just like, yeah, I'm not gonna be the taking the beating this time. I get to use the big guy, and then just that sudden shift is just like, oh shit.
Did you see his face?
Yeah, he was just like, oh,
what just happened?
Like jaw kind of dropped.
When Ebony Moore said, "Let him have his fun," I said, that's when my heart fell right into my pants in the movie theater. Let him have his fun.
I'm telling you guys, at that moment, Loki's like, well, we had a Hulk. Now what?
Yeah. So after all that, Thanos gets the Tesseract. He already had the Power Stone, and he leaves, Thor half wounded at that point, and just tells him, you've seen what I'm capable of. You'll be with the rest. Leaves and uses the Power Stone to destroy the ship. And, at this point, we see Hulk from the last bit of the Bifrost that Heimdall was able to summon. He's being sent all the way back to Earth. And at this point, we see Tony Stark in the park talking with Pepper, talking about his vision. We see Doctor Strange and Wang talking in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And while they're talking, they're being kind of funny, talking about getting food and stuff about this. And suddenly comes crashing through the roof by the Sanctum Sanctorum. They look down in the stairs, and it's Bruce Banner. And
just like a Silver Surfer.
Yep. It was an allusion to when Silver Surfer crashed through. And the first
when
words
Silver Surfer was afraid.
Yep. Silver Surfer was scared of what was coming. The first words out of his mouth was Thanos is coming. And at this point, they're looking at each other, and we go back to the park and see Tony talking with them. And Doctor Strange opens his little portal and says, you need to come with me. He's like, who are you? He's like, I have a friend. And you just see Bruce run out of the portal and start hugging up on Tony and trying to explain everything that's going on. And this part of the movie is the one where they kind of give the briefest, and I mean briefest of reviews that we know of in this movie, because this movie that we've seen some reviews that say that this movie doesn't hold your hand. They expect you to know everything from the past, and it's obvious that you should know the past 18 movies and have an understanding. You're not going to be able to go into this movie and know everything and understand who the characters are. But this,
David, man, stop.
yeah, fucking New Yorker. But anyways,
I see
with the Hulk in the background. But this part that
keep talking.
Yeah, we see Doctor Strange sitting down with Tony, and he's telling them about the history of the Infinity Stones, and given the talking about how that they were created at the time of the creation of the universe and the power that they hold, and they were able to remember and knows some ideas on where some of them were. And this kind of gives the briefest review. The only one that was unknown about at that time, which we also were unaware of, was the Soul Stone, which they talked about, and they knew about Thanos and what he kind of was going for, because Bruce Banner explained this to him. And at first they were saying we need to call Cap, but Tony didn't want to, even though he had the number that
fuck that flip phone.
That Cap had left for him. He's just like, come on, we need him right now. We can't be like this. And he was sitting there debating with it about calling him back, because Cap and all of them are at this point fugitives after the events of Civil War, and after breaking out of what was the prison called, the Rig?
Yes.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, the Rig, out there in the middle of the ocean and all that. So, we see him pull out the phone and kind of fighting with it. And then next thing you know, you hear shouts in the streets and everything, and people screaming and running for it. Next thing you know,
it's called the raft.
The raft.
Yeah, it was the raft.
The raft. That's what it was, the raft. And at this point, we see everyone running down the street and everything that's going on. And Tony takes off his glasses, and you see one of Thanos' ships coming down.
See the surprise villain, Squidward.
Oh,
Iron Man shit talking in this movie was on point the entire time, man.
It really was.
Like, Earth's closed, like, bro. I'm done.
Yeah. I just like that. Sorry, we're not open. You can come back and take a ship somewhere else. It's just like, no, I think I'll stay. But we see Ebony Maw there, and he's fighting against Doctor Strange. He's using all his crazy telepathic abilities, and Doctor Strange using his magic all over the place. And then Tony realizes that he needs to get into it, and he tells Bruce to Hulk out, and he's trying to do what he can. And that's the first time we're seeing that Bruce is having a bit of trouble being able to get the Hulk to come out.
The Hulk duck game was strong in this movie.
Yeah,
bitch. I'm like,
hey, no. If anyone had the strongest duck game, though, it was Wang, man.
Oh,
so true. Long, straight up left.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta take care of this shit.
Well, y'all got this.
Yeah. The Sector Centura is unprotected. I gotta go.
Yeah. He's like, hey, man, there's no one at the crib. We gotta stay here.
That man was shitting bricks the entire time until we got protected.
You probably got that Subway sandwich after all, though. But
all right, Rob, enjoy it.
Man, they can struggle Wakanda. I don't care.
Yeah, but at this point, we first see them come up against the Black Order with Ebony Maw, and I believe that was Obsidian Ball.
Yeah, Darkest Obsidian.
Darkest Obsidian. Yeah, Obsidian Dark. That's who it was. And I couldn't think of the other one, but we see him, and we see the first show off of the Bleeding Edge suit from Iron Man. And we all had thoughts on how they were going to make the Bleeding Edge, but we found out that he had created something new with nanotech, and it turned into the Bleeding Edge armor, and it looked phenomenal. Like, simply, I love the way that they designed the Bleeding Edge.
Yo, guys,
very, very amazing, and just the abilities of it was very phenomenal. Seeing him go up against Obsidian Dark was great.
Get that statue right there.
Hey, Bloodie, man, real quick. You remember when we first saw the first pictures of Bleeding Edge armor, like in the toys and whatnot? He had like 4 rings or whatever were protruding out of his back. I realized we didn't see him at all during the whole movie.
No, they were there. They were there a little bit, yeah. And during the fight with Obsidian Maw, he was using them a bit, because that's how he made the 4 lasers that were shooting at him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, all of them are like little half rings.
They weren't a big deal in the movie like we thought they would be.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Because he's got those legs that turn into a rocket.
Oh yeah.
Yo, dudes, I gotta get ready. That was a great tour. I like that. My wife won't let me put my stuff out. A lot of stuff is in the basement of my club, but I gotta get my behind back to work. I'm gonna be listening at work, but I ain't gonna be talking though. But let me make this move. It was a pleasure.
Yes, it was a pleasure, brother.
I got a history lesson. As always, I'm still depressed. I need some Perkins or something. It's crazy, man. Hulk is a sucker. Hulk, my man. All right, let me go. Y'all can find me at 108 Dragons TV. Selfless plug.
Later,
man. Enjoy the podcast. I'm gonna be listening at work. Enjoy.
All right, thanks for coming out with it. Thank you.
That was good to have you on.
Yeah, but I have to say, when we see that first fight scene right there between Obsidian Dark, because we see that as the ship's coming down, we see the first hints of the Spidey sense with the way that Peter got word. Yeah, I like the way that they did it in this one. That just the whole hair on his body stood up and he reacted. And I have to say, I still love Ned because he's just like, Ned, I need you to make a distraction. He turns around, she's like, oh my God, we're all gonna die.
Yeah, it works so just well. And then Stan Lee's cameo, perfect.
Yeah, y'all act like y'all have never seen a spaceship before. You're just driving the bus. You just see Peter slip out the other side and just go off. I'm just like, that was perfect. Way to go, Ned.
And then what was it? Eventually Iron Man kind of gets separated away and he fights that. Who's the guy with the hammer? What was he called?
That's Obsidian. That's Obsidian Dark.
Okay, so Obsidian.
Yeah.
So like you see the Obsidian Dark's hammer going down, Tony, like, shit, that's gonna be a big hit. And then it stops and it's like, hey, Mr. Stark. It's like fucking Spider-Man for the win.
Yeah, it's like, kid, good, get him. And she's like, all right.
I like they showed his strength.
Yeah.
They showed Spider-Man's strength and agility in that he is a force to be reckoned with at his young age. Like it's incredible the stuff that he was able to pull off when he was fighting him and actually handling him until he got tossed off over to Tony and this guy send him to the other dimension or other side of Earth or whatever.
They went to Titan. No, they went to Titan.
No, when they send Dark Obsidian to the other side of Earth, remember they chopped his arm off?
Oh yeah.
The move that has a lot of memes about it.
Yeah, but that was during that fight. That was great to see Peter, and then we see in the fight as well between Ebony Maw and Doctor Strange, and it's playing out really well. We really seeing the skills of the Sorcerer Supreme, but Ebony Maw is one of those. Yeah, he really is in a league of his own with being the head of the Black Order. But people don't realize about Ebony Maw is that he is a very methodical villain, and we all had our complaints about the Black Order in this film, and Ebony Maw had a lot of implications because people don't realize that at one point in the comics that he did betray Thanos by getting his son Thane to kill him. But just seeing the battle of minds between those two and the difference in their skills and mysticality was real great. And when he thought that he finally caught Doctor Strange and was trying to get the time stone, just seeing the cloak of levitation just take him off on a trip, and you just hear Tony's just like, hey, we have a wizard, that's the one, go get him. And he's just like, okay. And you just see Spider-Man swinging off trying to chase the wizard, and you just see him like trying to go up against Ebony Maw, who's just throwing stuff at him.
And I gotta say, the Doctor Strange battle was phenomenally done, really well. But we gotta give it up to the GOAT, Doctor Strange's cape in the house.
Oh yeah, dude. The cloak of levitation
cape
is amazing. There's a reason it has a mind of its own.
Yeah,
that cape fucking did work.
Real quick, it's a small thing. I love how like the new Spider-Man they're doing right now. They're not really focusing on him like swinging without a city, web shooting, whatnot. But I always love it every time they show it, especially in this movie. It just has a little traversal across the city. I'm just a small thing I threw out there.
Yeah,
they do it really well.
Oh yeah,
they did it phenomenally. Jamie, what are some of your thoughts? Because especially for you, just seeing it today, I know you must have a lot of excitement still built up.
I am. Well, you know how we talking about that scene in New York, and then they go up into space. One of the things I like about the Marvel films is that since I'm leaning towards DC, I like seeing new stories, and these new films are new stories for me because I don't know all these, all the Marvel comic stuff. So it's really new for me. And one thing Marvel is good at is cutting trailers to make you think a certain thing, and then something else happens. So, for instance, with a lot of other films, you can pretty much piece together how a film is going to work just by watching the trailer. But when you see Spider-Man on that ring thing, whatever you call it, watching the trailer, you'd think, oh, well, that would be near the end, but nope. At the beginning, and just the pacing of it, and and at this point, we're 20 minutes in or something, and it's almost as if it's got more content, more depth, and more story than like 50 other DC films.
Yeah.
Damn, you're going hard there, but
Well,
we can talk about that, right? Like the Russo brothers did a phenomenal job juggling all these characters. You got to give it up to them for doing.
They're like the only ones who could pull this off.
The amount of characters is mind blowing. Like this movie could have easily failed, but
this shit
fell to the wayside. By pandering to Tony or by pandering to Sony. They didn't pander to anybody at any point in time. Everybody got equal screen time, and it was pushed to the point of character development.
Exactly.
It was
especially
always
when they got their own screen time.
You know, but also you got to say that every director, and you saw every director hold their characters, because the way that you love your characters or the way that you introduce your characters to certain stuff, the Russo brothers actually talked to every director to get their take on how their character will work in this particular scene. The egos weren't big enough to say that I'm going to do them how I want to do them. You know, the egos were at a point where it's like, all right, how's your input? You can work it. Tell me how you want it done, and we're going to put it this way. And the selfless ego, when it comes to the Russo brothers, shine through. Because every character, I mean, Captain America is so underrated when it comes to who he is and what he stands for in the Marvel Universe. And you saw what he was about in this particular film, how important he is to his troops, why people follow him, and how badass he is when it comes to fighting. Like, seriously, a phenomenal fighter, along with Black Widow. I've always complained that Black Widow and Hawkeye seems to be the throwaway characters, the Me Too's. And
that always annoyed me.
Yeah.
Didn't it, right? Like, you like, come on, man. Like, they're Avengers, and you got to show why. Well, in this particular film, Black Widow gives you the exact reason why she is one of the deadliest assassins on Earth.
Yo, David, real quick.
Because, go ahead.
Now, this is me, like, as far as Black Widow's choreography throughout the movies, it feels like the thugs that she's fighting are, like, kind of like letting her win in a certain aspect. Like, I'm not saying this one gives Black Widow. I'm just like the choreographers who's handling this part of the movies. Like, to me, I always notice, like, why are you like the fuck? You're a trained soldier. Why are you fighting like this? Like, come on.
I think it's because like they didn't use a stunt double as much in this movie. Because do you guys remember Captain America Civil War with that shaky cam and everything in the beginning of the movie with the Black Widow scenes? I don't think they wanted to do that shit again, so they kind of just had to work around it. You know, she's not really a martial artist in real life.
She was pregnant though.
Oh yeah, that was a huge part of it.
Yeah. Her belly was popping out. This one, she was form fitting and looked nice.
Yeah,
she was on it. I was like, whoa, get it, Scarlett. Get it. I thought the use of weaponry with her in conjunction with Captain America showed that, well, Captain America is a super soldier, and let's not get it twisted. He can bench press, I think it's 5 tons or 1 ton, something like that. And his athleticism,
lift the bus if you wanted to, just one-handed, just.
He's on par with, but don't forget he's a druggie. All right, let's not forget that he's a druggie. But his athleticism is on par with Black Panther. That's why they showed that scene with them running, and he was able to keep pace with Black Panther to let you know that they are in tandem. Like, if they actually get to fighting, they'll be on par with each other. I think Cap will beat him with battle knowledge. When is he going to get a shield?
That's what I was wanting to know.
I think the next movie, like the original Avengers are still alive.
Yeah, because those crappy shields shits that he had on his arm, they need to go to hell.
I wasn't feeling that.
Yeah, they need to go to hell. That's what
They're
I said.
cool for what they were to kind of fight, but like,
they can only work for that movie. And I don't want to see them again.
Exactly. You see him walk around like that, and next movie, like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Let's take that off.
Get this man.
I mean,
Give this man a
Yo,
right
they said, get this man a shield, and they gave him these little wrist gauntlets. What the hell? You know what a shield is? You damn idiot. Y'all know the whole genesis of that character, Nomad, right? He X'd out the shield. All right, well, I'm glad they didn't go with the yellow and blue outfit with the little disc.
Yeah. Fuck that.
They have grounded the characters in such a way that the outfits fit each movie in the sense like Tony needed that armor. That armor was necessary for the movement of this movie to show that he wasn't behind in Wakanda. You know, that he was still a technological genius, but you know, this guy's sister is the smartest person in the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
because when she asked, Shuri, when she asked Banner, how come you didn't do this? Why the hell did y'all do this? And he was like, we didn't
even think of that.
That lets you know that this little prodigy is probably a mutant, and it's gonna probably come out when they're able to say the word, because they can't say the word yet. They just say, enhanced. But when they get a chance to say mutant, she's probably a mutant. Probably they're gonna go that route to introducing them. Her with Amadeus Cho. I can't wait for that.
But now that we've been discussing this movie, we got kind of with the Iron Man seeing Doctor Strange. Do we want to move on to when Thor meets the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the next scene while Tony and Peter sneak into the ship and they're blasting through space waiting on their thing. Next thing we know is we see the Guardians picking up a signal for distress, and it's the remnants of the Asgardian ship, and we see them crash into Thor because he being a god and all, he's able to survive a little bit more so than most others. But the reactions and interaction with the Guardians is always phenomenal. Just seeing them as they're flying through, talking about things and all that. But when you first see Thor just hit the windshield and you just hear Rocket just like, oh, get it off, wipers. Just like, what? And then they just pull him in. Just the man crush from Drax.
He's like, no, Star-Lord, you're a dude.
He's
this
like,
is a man.
Dude? Yeah. You're just like, who's
that? It was kind of disgusting, to be honest with you. He's funny. Like, it's like Angel made love to. I'm like,
it's fucking Drax, though.
I was
this
gonna say
is disgusting.
I found it hilarious just because of that it fits Drax's personality.
It really does.
And just knowing that Dave Bautista was like so solid in the way that he said this and the way he acted was just amazing, because most people, if you don't know more about Bautista, he used to be a wrestler and all this stuff. So, he has his things, but just seeing him like this with such a character and what they've done over the years, and just the way that he just sold that line is just great. He just Star-Lord's looking at him. He's like, who is this dude? He's like, no, this is not a dude. You're a dude. This is a man. And it's just like, what? No,
the amount they would roast him though, like, Quill, you're only a sandwich away from being fat.
Cinema lost it when I was up.
I love the fact that he can laugh about him used to being obese. The fact that he was obese, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna get a Bowflex. I'm like,
Gamora.
Yes.
Gamora, he was like, just like feeling him. Okay, no, stop touching his muscles. Stop touching his muscles.
Enough with the man touching, and I love the interaction that crew has and how they bring it across, because not everybody knows that the Guardians of the Galaxy is really like the scuttlebutt of Marvel, and until the movie hit, and nobody really cared about them, and they parts changed so much, and to get it to the point where these core characters that made up Guardians of the Galaxy, and they have entrenched themselves in our lives. Basically, if we're a Marvel head and you've been following these movies, and let's say if this is the first time that you see them, you're gonna find those scenes hilarious, and you're gonna go back and watch the other films, and you're gonna be like, "What was I thinking that I missed these films?" These films are actually some of the best that Disney and Marvel has put out, and the character directions are some of the best. I just want to give a shout out to David Bautista because I really didn't think that his acting would be as phenomenal as it is at certain points, and he is spot on with his deadpan humor that it works. Him and Groot, or him and Star-Lord, the fact that he's able to push the narrative and show that, you know, wrestlers can be just more than wrestlers is fantastic to me, because I saw when he first came out when he was wrestling. So it's a great scene for him. Just wanted to say that.
It really was a great scene for him, and we got to see more of that later, but it was just as they're talking with Thor and finding out about Thanos and Gamora really explaining everything that's going on and stuff like that they were aware of a little bit, but
and then you saw Quill's jealousy.
Yeah, Quill getting a little too jealous there, but you know, we see the way
that's any man. Let your wife rub up on some dude's shoulder. Hell out of here with that. Yo, like, hey, what's up with enough of the rubbing? Like any guy that was in the movie theater with a girl felt that part. Like man.
No, but I'm talking about like we start imitating his voice and shit. Like, you just make your voice deeper?
No, my voice is always this deep. No,
are you mocking me?
Are you mocking me? Will, stop copying the God Man.
Oh, it was incredible. It was.
I just love the fact that he was just like, obviously, Rabbit, you're the captain here. He's just like, right, I'm the captain.
Rabbit.
That rabbit shit. That
was hilarious.
He kept calling him Rabbit, and he was like, he said, "I could get raccoon, Rabbit." Like, Rabbit.
He went with it.
You know, it's funny. That's like
it was so awesome.
Universe at this point. Like, the people know what he is, but no one wants to acknowledge it at this point.
No, they don't care.
Because what what you gonna call him on Guardians 2? I forgot what we called him.
Trash Bandit.
Yep.
Yeah, Trash Bandit.
Is that better or worse? It's so much worse.
Yeah.
So much.
He's like, shut up, you filthy raccoon. I am not a raccoon. He's like,
he gets highly upset.
I didn't mean to call you a raccoon. I meant to call you a trash bandit.
So much worse. Oh my god! But the interaction in this movie was so phenomenally done. Like, it just felt natural, never felt forced. And it felt like it would have happened.
Yeah,
they said a lot of that stuff was off the cuff. To be honest with you,
yeah.
Like the interaction, like especially what we've seen, because this is stuff that we've been dreaming about for years. How all of these characters were going to interact, and we can only imagine. And all of it just played out like how a lot of us envisioned. Like with Thor and Rocket, their humor together was just so perfect. And when they went off to go to what's called Nova Ventil, the star where the gods had their weapons made, and he's just like, he's like, we're gonna take the pod and go our own way. He's like, because I'm the captain, I could say that. So you see them going off, and you see them flying through, and Groot's there with them, and he's talking, and you know, Groot's talking about he's got to pee and all this stuff. He's like, don't worry, just put your twig in the bottle, no one know. And then Thor's just like, just go in the bottle, dump it out in space, and then just reuse it. And he's just like, wait, you speak Groot? Yeah, was an elective.
Yeah. How about the fact that we've been like whitewashing the fact that Groot is an adolescent, and the limited speech that we can understand from him, his mannerisms is coming across as any teen that you have. If you have teenager kids, that was Groot. Like, he's sitting there, he's being smug, and he's doing things purposely to annoy some damn body, and he's playing his video game. They captured the essence of a teenager. They've been using this. They had older Groot, killed them off. They had Twig Groot, you know, he's a little dancing and a little thing, and that was cute.
I didn't like that.
Baby Groot was great. and then now teenage Groot, and then get to the part where he matures. I'm loving how they took him from a little sapling and they're bringing his ass across, and he's growing up. He's like gonna be a child star in front of our eyes. We're gonna watch Groot grow on drugs. Like after this, like we caught Groot doing drugs later.
I'm a little too much maple.
Oh, right. That honeydew. Oh, that honeydew.
Oh, dude, what the fuck? Don't you love like the little callbacks to do? Like, remember when Rocket's like, "Hey, look, there's an eye over there."
Yeah,
that was like, oh my god, that happened. It's all connected.
Yo,
yeah.
When he said he had to smuggle it in his butt.
Oh yeah.
Yo, he said I would have washed that if I was you.
Dude, that was great. I just love that he's just like, here. He's like, this is something that may be able to help. He's like, oh, thanks, Rabbit. He just sticks it right in there. He's like, it's so dark. He's like, yeah, you're gonna have to get used to a little bit. And he's just like, wait, did you just stick that right in right now? Okay. Not gonna say anything. But the interaction and you really seeing the characters affected by everything that's going on, because when Thor's just sitting in the back and you hear Rocket go, now it's time to really be a captain, sit down, talk, ask him, are you sure you could do this? You're bent, all your people are dead, your brother's dead, your dad's dead, your sister's dead. He's like, yeah, of course, I'm fine, it's great motivation. He's like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. He's like, if I die, what more can I lose? And he just hear Rocket be like, well, I have a lot to lose, because he saw how the Guardians have really grown into this family. So it really affected Rocket, knowing what Thor is hunting after specifically, and knowing what he's been through and what Rocket's afraid of. Like, that really kind of shows where the stakes are and all this for everyone. Because it's the
brought
whole
a tear to my eye.
It almost did for me too. Because Thor right now, his new persona is more comical and whatnot. But hearing that little banter between him and Rocket, like, you can actually feel for him. You actually see the toll all this took on him, and it's expressing
when you sat there and noticed the arc, what they did to Thor.
Yeah,
they really brutalized this character. They really took everything away from him, and he said, well, what more do I got to lose? I lost everything. Like, he saw his brother die in front of him
twice,
like killed. Like, but this time, and Thanos, there's no resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for this one,
we
know that when that gauntlet, whatever happens in the next movie, we know for a fact Loki is done.
Oh yeah,
I was so mad when that happened.
I wasn't. Yeah. I was tired, Loki.
I think Loki had to go. Like, that was the story arc leading up to it. And it felt satisfying. Like, he finally got the ending.
Now, if you're rubbing your hands at the theater, like, yes, finally.
Yes, finally, Loki's gone.
I feel for the character of Thor in the sense that, I mean, they're going to have to give him a reboot. We all know what Ragnarok means when it comes to the Greek gods.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt for the character of Thor in the sense that every character in Marvel is tragic. Every character. Captain America is tragic. He lost everything. He just got Bucky back to find out that Bucky is the Winter Soldier, is out here killing people. That he knew that he killed Tony's parents, and he had to hold this away from Tony, and that just ripped him asunder with him and Tony, because Tony was his new friend, but he had his old friend that he believed in, that he was trying to bring back.
Yep.
He watched everybody that he grew up with or had a connection with die, or heard that they died. He's a man displaced out of time. Now he's a man to find out that his country was destroyed. What he stood up for, what he championed, what the Constitution and everything that he lived by, he found out that the Nazis was running the government, and he's been a puppet ever since. So your fundamentals have been destroyed. Marvel has taken all of our characters that we hold that has movies so far and destroyed them to the point of what next? This is the fundamentals of a hero. They're showing you when there's nothing else, there's nothing left but hero. Thor had nothing else but hero. Captain America, no country, no shield, nothing. They took his shield away. They took Mjolnir away. They took all these stuff away from what makes the character strong and what makes the character themselves that we thought, and stripped them down to their base and left hero. And what happens from this point forward defines heroes. That's why DC is at a disadvantage. They humanize the characters to the point that you can see yourself or you can see something in them that you can identify with, because they're not greater than all. Actually, they lost everything, but they still push forward as a hero. Hulk lost his ability to feel like he's the strongest one there was, and he's struggling with fighting. They're doing this to these characters purposely to build a basis of a restarting point of what identifies with them, so you know that these characters are rock solid. And I think Marvel nailed it. Disney and Marvel nailed it with the development of Thor to get him to this guy here that we got now.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up, David. Is that while a lot of us don't like some of the earlier movies, we all have our complaints about the early formula. When you go back and see them now, you see how much they have changed and transitioned and really grown over time. But the main thing is that you really see what made these characters what they are, what made them larger than life, yet at the same time very humanizing. We saw Tony's real rise of his playboy aspect. He thinks he's the biggest, the baddest, the smartest, the richest, and all this. And then you see him go through, being a prisoner of war, seeing what his weapons do up hand, and really start to change. Yeah, after he becomes Iron Man, he gets a little big headed for it, that we saw in 2. And after that, he's kind of humbled with what happened after Avengers, because he's suffering that post-traumatic. We see him fall into that alcoholism, that stress of needing to build, Jarvis and create the Ultron project, as well as how much he's building new suits to prepare for what he saw back then, which was, he saw Thanos back then. He saw what was coming. And we've seen all these characters really show off their flaws and what makes them so relatable in aspects, why they're trying to do what they do. And we've seen that, recently with how they've taken the comics in a new direction to really encapsulate this. It's something unique that they were able to do to such a wide audience through movies.
God damn, we're gonna have to take some sound clips from this episode. You guys are on point.
Listen, you know what it is like for Tony to find out that his parents was murdered. Like, they didn't die in a car accident.
Like he thought.
It was designed.
Yeah.
He thought his father didn't care about him, right? And then to find out that your new buddy, your best friend, Captain Morals, I'm not gonna lie, the moral oral of the whole situation here, knew about it and didn't tell you. And then he asked him, "Yo, did you know though?" And then to get the answer, that's when he was just like, "Yo, listen, I'm gonna kill your ass right now. You're like, you're gonna die right now."
Yeah.
And then when he told him, "Give me back that shield," like a child. "Give me that shield. It's not yours. It's my father's." And Cap was like, "FTW with your shield. That don't define me. I was getting my ass beat in Brooklyn way before you was born." So this is the reason why I go back to watch those films. People ask me, they think I'm retarded or something's mentally wrong. I really watch these films like at least once a week, to be honest with you. It's really sickening. I'll pick one and I'll watch it. Or I'll watch my certain parts. People don't like the fact that I love Ultron. I thought Ultron was the best villain up until Thanos, up until Killmonger, because I identify with what he was trying to do, and he viewed humanity as a cancer on this earth. Mm-hmm. And the best way to fix it was to eradicate them. That's what would happen if robots did rise up, right?
Ultron in that movie, it had a lot of potential. I like certain parts of it. As a whole, it fell short, but I do like quite a bit out of it and what we got from it. I understand the changes they made with Ultron. Definitely wasn't the Ultron that we know, but I definitely did see a lot of his aspects, and you saw that in the culmination with the talking or conversation he had with Vision at the very end.
Yeah, for
that
me,
was awesome.
Yeah, for my gripes against Ultron, I feel he could be a little more sinister, a little more cold.
Yeah, he was a little funny for me.
Yeah, he's a little.
But he was based off of Tony,
which makes sense.
He was based off of Tony Banner.
It was a combination of Tony, Banner, and Jarvis.
Yeah, but it was the marketing where they made him like look super serious and about to kill everyone.
Exactly, man.
But and then he was like, it makes sense why it was that way, but the trailer marketed him the other way.
Like to be honest, I was more afraid of Ultron in the trailers than wasn't throughout the entire movie.
Yeah,
because they didn't like the fact that he was a jokester. But anytime Tony is in a situation where he's precarious, he's a smartass. That's what it is. And if you were to base it off of Hank Pym, like they were supposed to be, but you couldn't because you didn't introduce this character. And the persona of Yellow Jacket, where he's a wife beater, he's an egotistical scientist that feels that he's superior to every scientist that's on the planet. And if you base it off of that and the fact that Ultron is his child and he wants to impress his father, there's a different dynamic. You don't get the comical part of it because Hank Pym is not a comedian.
We put it that way. It makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's a completely different character. It's not the Ultron that we grew up with or we know about. This is something that Marvel had to do, given with what resources they had. So it's like, okay, like you ever watch those, like my girl watches these shows, these cooking shows, and this one cooking show is really weird, right? Like they give you stupid ingredients and tell you to bake a cake. Like, how am I gonna make a cake with these stupid ass ingredients? But these dudes make the cake, and you're like, wow, they did it. Well, Russo's is making cake with stupid ass ingredients. And making it work.
They really are. And we've been going on for a while, but you guys want to get to like more of the third act of the movie, like towards the finale.
Yeah,
definitely.
Wakanda forever. Oh, guys, talk about that fine.
Well, I hate that.
Because we get from where everything was, after they're chasing, everyone. We see Thor going to Novatelli to get the new axe made with Rocket, and we come back and we see the tender moments between Vision and Scarlet Witch, and this is something that as a fan was phenomenal to finally see, because this has such big implication, because this is something that's heavily established in the comics, is that Wanda does truly love Vision, so much so that she actually used her powers to basically create kids of them for them. But that's how deep the relationship goes, and we see that they've played on it throughout the past few movies with their connection and everything, and really seeing it really stemmed out. And then we see Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive attack them and try to get the Mind Stone from Vision. And that probably was one of my favorite fights, was the way that they were fighting against them. And Vision is the poor dude throughout the movie, because he kept getting
the damsel in distress.
Yeah, he got it.
You guys are making fun of the Hulk, but the Vision was a damsel.
Yeah.
At least Vision fought. Hulk
he was fighting back, but man, he was getting it at every turn.
They blocked this shit with a spear, man.
Yeah.
At least Hulk got beat up by Thanos.
Yeah, but they're in a fight. They get knocked into a train station. Wanda's doing what she can to hold them back, and she thinks that they're gonna get them, but train passes, and lo and behold, who's standing in the dark is good old Cap, right there to save the day. He catches when Corvus Glaive tries to throw a spear at him and throws it right back, and you see you see Black Widow jump out and start beating up on Proxima Midnight. They get that jump on them and are able to stab Corvus, and they take off, and they take Vision with them into the Quinjet, and they say it's time to head home. And we see right there at the Avengers estate in upstate New York, I think it is, all the way out there, that the Secretary of Defense is talking with Rhodes about everything that's going on. And we see Rhodey starting walking around. He's finally got accustomed to his new legs and everything else, and everyone's just walking in. And Secretary is telling him that he needs to arrest him, the one criminal. He's like, yeah, I'll do that right now, and just hangs up the call. And you see that everything has been kind of squashed from Civil War because they know that there's more important things going on. They start talking about what's happening, and that's when they come up with the plan to try and get the Mind Stone away from Vision, because they know that Thanos is coming for the Mind Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, back to, go ahead, Neth.
Oh no, you're good. What did you say?
Back to the train station scene. This pop in anyone's mind when Captain America first showed up. He like that dude getting ready to mug somebody, standing in the shadows and everything. Hey, what you doing over there? Was it just... He was back there chilling, just waiting for his moment.
Got them vanilla wafers.
It was awesome.
It was
awesome.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
The fight was amazing, dude.
It was
awesome because he had that moment. Like, there's moments in this film that certain characters get. Tony gets his moment. Cap gets his moment. Thor gets his moment. And the moment, that's when you saw no shield, a leader coming to get his troops, gather his troops in a battle where they shouldn't have won. Clovis Glaive should have cut one of those dudes in half with that spear that can actually pierce the Hawk's skin, and he actually did pierce the Hawk's skin. That battle was so phenomenal, and it just showed. It was just one of those movies that you like, oh yeah, like get out, like, because they getting their butts whipped throughout the whole damn film, and you're like, small victories, the pushback, because they were beating the hell out of the Vision. Like you said, he was the damsel.
He took the L from this movie.
Oh my god! Yeah, like, he's talking and he's like,
the entire movie.
Yeah.
He'd be taking L's.
Yeah.
Vision got it the worst. Like, out of everyone in the movie, Vision truly had it the worst. And we'll get to why here later too.
There's some competition, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh no! What's gonna happen here?
Thanos and a certain someone. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh.
Whoa, bro.
They're coming strong today.
While all this is going on, the Guardians are heading back to nowhere, right? And when they get there, they scan. They don't find anything in nowhere. There's no one to be found anywhere. And they sneaking around, and they come up onto where the Collector is, and they see that Thanos is beating down on the Collector, trying to get the Reality Stone, trying to get the ether. And Drax, being Drax, runs right out there and just gets knocked into cubes, while Gamora runs out there thinking that she can assassinate Thanos, right? And at first,
you set it up wrong.
Oh, I said it the wrong. Yeah, I said it in the wrong way. But what?
Oh, you're referring to the part when Thanos came back and
remember, Mantis puts him to sleep. He falls down.
Yeah.
And then they go out there to
because Drax is uncontrollable at this point. She has to stop him, but Gamora goes out there and tries to assassinate him. And at first, we see a little flashback of when Thanos is first taking her, you know, and tells her about the balance when he's on her planet, and he shows her the little double-bladed dagger and how it won't fall. It's perfectly balanced all the way around, and gives it to her. And, you know, in that scene, she blindsides him, attacks him, and at first we think, no, this is too good to be true, because she uses that very same dagger and gets a stab, and as he's dying, you know, she's upset. And
Yo, when she broke down crying, that hit me like hard in the theater.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
That was rough.
yeah,
it was rough.
it was rough, you know. And then all of it to be seen is that, you know, Thanos comes out and be like, I knew that
Gotcha,
you
bitch.
still loved. Yeah, she's like, I knew you still loved me, and that everything was just part of the reality stone. You see everything is disappearing, and even the collector, you just see him kind of waving bye-bye, and just everything disappears. And after all that, you see that all of nowhere is just on fire, like completely decimated.
Mm-hmm. And then you eventually get to the scene where actually they took something straight out of the comics. Remember when like Mantis and Drax were like turned into something else? That happened to two different characters in the comics. Who were they again?
It was
I know it was a straight up callback. It's two different
and he turned them into the exact same thing.
Exactly.
Was it Wolverine? Wasn't Wolverine one of them?
No, Wolverine.
No, it wasn't Wolverine. Mantis was one. It was Nebula.
Yes.
He turned Nebula into the thing that he turned Mantis into.
The little,
and
the little spiral.
Yeah.
And who did he turn the cubes into? It wasn't Vision, right?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I remember it was a straight up callback. It was really well done.
Yeah, but it's the same exact scene, different characters, and it was done. This is how you know they care, and they gave a F about your
comic book fans.
Your revisionist history in the books. They care about the books. They care about it.
Yeah. But anyway, after that little scene, you know, cool callback. But Thanos eventually gets Gamora. Like, she's in a lock.
Yeah, he gets a hold of her, and Quill thinks that he's gonna be all cool, and he comes out, guns ready, and and Thanos is just looking at him. The boyfriend. And he's just like, are you gonna do it? He's like, can you do it? And she's like, no, don't do that. You promised me. And he's just like, come on. You told her you
what
do it.
What did he promise her?
Kill her.
He made a promise to Gamora that
if it comes down to it,
that he would kill her because she was the only one who knew the location of the Soul Stone. And that's
Thanos got a hold of her, that he would kill her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Star-Lord just he couldn't pull himself to do it. He could not pull himself to do it.
He did though.
Well, at first he couldn't. He didn't want to.
That shit was killing him.
Yeah, he didn't want to do it. He couldn't pull himself to do it. It wasn't until Thanos pushed Gamora all of 2 inches in front of his barrel and goaded him into doing it. He said, "Did you not promise her? Do it. Do it. You're weak." And you see the tears.
Conviction, boy?
Yeah, and you see the tears in his eyes as he pulls the trigger, only for the gun to turn to a bubble gun.
Yeah,
that was a dick move by Thanos. That was really a dick move by Thanos. He pushed him to the edge.
Hey, that was a good move, though. That shit was like, damn.
Yo, what's up with Thanos and Bubbles, though? Like this whole film, he been making bubbles happen when stuff was supposed to go off, and I'm like, what's up with this guy and these bubbles, though?
Don't get those theorist channels going.
I know, right? Bubbles, bro.
Namor confirmed.
And then he said, after he took the shot, and the bubbles came out, and Thanos disappears in a portal with her. He said, I like him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But even like when Peter pulled the trigger and it was just bubbles, you could see the relief on his face because he didn't want to kill her.
He didn't want to do it.
He didn't want to lose her. Like
Yeah.
Peter throughout, and we're gonna get into this a little later in the podcast because some people think he was out of character. Not gonna name names right now, but you could see that Peter. He said this in the first Guardians of the Galaxy: "We're losers. We lose everything." Throughout the movie, the first scene you see him, he loses his mother. Then in the second movie, he gains his father, only to lose him, and his father's the one who really murdered his mother. And then even that, he loses his surrogate father with oh goddamn, what was his name? what's old guy? What the fuck is his name again?
Randor. Oh shit.
No, he's talking about
this guy, his stepdaddy. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yeah, no, that's what I remember him saying. Oh, God,
I like that. I like that sound. That's how everyone remembers this. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
It goes back to
right,
but either that he loses him in space in his arms.
Yeah.
Yo, it goes back to what Marvel is doing to you, right?
They're talking about Yondu.
Yondu.
Yeah,
I keep saying Xandar. I don't know why I was thinking Xandar. Shit.
Xandar's
You
the
think about
planet.
Xandar being blown up?
Damn. Yeah. Ignore me. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yo, it's like pick a character. They are destroying them.
Yeah. Everyone is getting it.
Yeah. And it's sad because like you see the relief because he doesn't want to lose another thing. Like the one thing he's truly gained in his story so far, the Guardians of the Galaxy, he's not willing to lose it.
Well, he ain't even really get it yet.
Yeah.
Hello. He's like, no, what the hell's wrong with you? No, I will not do this. I didn't get that moonlight dinner.
Close. No.
Yeah, no, man. I just hugged up on her and Drax was eating crackers.
And then, moving ahead a little, Thanos and Gamora go away. And where did they land, guys? What's a character that surprised you when they showed back up?
Oh my god, the whole cinema lost us when he appeared on screen. Red Skull.
Yes.
Bruh, me and my brother, we jumped out of our seats in that theater. Yo.
I told you he was coming back.
Yeah. And that's what we're about to talk about too, is that while all this is coming, we know everything that's going on Earth right now. They're all making their plan on getting Vision out of there, and they know exactly where to take him, and they're on their way to Wakanda. And during this time, we jump back to Thor, and him and Rocket finally get to Novatali, and they see that the star is dead, that the rings aren't moving, the forge is not going on, and they're trying to figure out what happened. And when they get there, they see the mold for the Infinity Gauntlet, and they think that what happened here. And lo and behold, we see the surprise character, the person we know that has been coming for quite some time.
Dinklebot.
Yeah, good old Dinklebot. Good old Peter Dinklage. And boy, is he big. He a big old dwarf.
What the hell?
Yeah, that was weird.
That was weird as hell.
Was weird, his voice and everything.
If he's a dwarf, what are he's being compared to that makes him a dwarf? That's all I'm thinking right now.
Giant dwarfs. It was giant dwarfs. Like, it blew my mind that they can actually take a real life dwarf, no disrespect at all to small people, and make him a dwarf, but make him big, like insanely huge.
Yeah,
and it was awesome. It was awesome. Only in movies and cinema, this can happen. Like, they can displace belief and put you in a world where dwarves, and they could keep calling them dwarves, but these brothers mean something totally different.
Yeah, we think dwarves are short, but what's the comparison? We compare it to ourselves, but you never know with all the realms.
Yeah,
Force giant.
And we see that there's that the dwarves of the Forge, are the same. Yeah, they're fine. The dwarves of the Forge were the ones who founded and created Mjolnir. They created the weapons for the gods.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else. And he said that there's only one weapon that could be the strong, because he explained what Thanos did. He said that if you make the gauntlet, I'll let everyone live. And after it was made, he still killed all the doors of the Forge, and then took his hands because he casted them in metal so he could never forge again. And Thor told him, he's like, you don't need your hands, you just need your mind.
That part was weird to me, that Thanos would keep his word.
I think it's only because Thanos was that afraid, because he literally, if the dwarves were around, they could have stopped Thanos.
Yeah.
Yeah, they and remember he said there's only one thing that we have that could stop them, and he took them to the mold for Stormbreaker. And as we all know, Stormbreaker was the name for Beta Ray Bill's hammer.
And I'm so glad they used the Ultimate Universe version because it looks way better.
Yeah, they used Ultimate Mjolnir, which was the hammer and the blade, which is Ultimate Mjolnir.
It looks so much better.
Yeah.
But we need to talk about how they fucking made Mjolnir because that shit was epic.
Or Stormbreaker, yes.
Stormbreaker, sorry, but Thor had to do.
Oh
yeah,
man,
he told Rocket to just gun it out there while he was hanging on the outside of the ship and tossed him to the center of the star, and he had to move the rings themselves to get them started and get the star brought back to life. But then he had to open the iris of the star. So he had to open up this heat vent and basically be blasted by a star to heat the metal to create Stormbreaker. So he is literally holding. So the scene that we see in the trailers where he's pulling on that bar to open up in front of that fire. That is the star that he is holding open to be able to melt the metal and create Stormbreaker.
Man.
Yeah, and then he had to take the fucking blast. Like you could tell that shit
concentrated blast.
Yeah, he was being straight up roasted by it.
Man, if I took that from a star, I'm like, you can't say shit to me after that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, bro.
Oh, I see. We have another goodie, and he has the original one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Salty points out, that shows the strength of what he's capable of. He's a god.
He's a god.
Yeah. And he I can't remember the name of Peter Dinklage's character. I can't remember what was that.
We'll call him the Dwarf King.
Yeah, the dwarf.
The Master Dwarf Craftsman.
Yeah. But he gets the metal and is able to pour it into the mold, and he breaks it, and Thor starts flying through space, gets crash landed right back onto the forge, and they crack it open, they have the blade and the hammer. And he tells Rocky he's dying. He needs the hammer now. He's like, where's the shaft? Where's the handle? And they didn't have anything for it. And they're looking around. And this is where we see Groot really start to grow as a character. And he's looking at
so fucking cool.
Thor. He's looking at Thor and basically seeing him. He's like half roasted from being in front of a star. And he actually stops, puts everything down, and goes over to the mold, grabs the hammer and the blade, and uses his arm to wrap around it and makes it straight, and then cuts off his own arm to make the handle so that way they can give it to Thor. And after that, you just see the lightning strike, and you see him like all charged back up and just ready to go.
But why did he do that?
Can you answer that? Because I actually have no idea.
He did it because if you notice throughout the film, up until that point, before Thor showed up, he was disinterested in everything. He was a typical teenager. When Thor showed up at that point, he looked at him and he kind of like idolized this dude. Like, who is this dude? This dude, is like different from everybody else. And then he saw his idol on the floor about to die. So he cut off his own arm. He took himself away from his little world and cut off his own arm to save the life of Thor, which actually showed the maturity from probably like 17-year-old Groot into growing up into an adult mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that it was that selfless act in doing that transformed the character from there on, because if you notice from that point on, Groot was more engaged in anything else in the film. Like if you notice like how they used them throughout the rest of the film, going towards the end, he was a little bit more engaged from that point on.
Yeah, but real quick, like, how durable is Groot? This man decapitated army is a conduit of Thor's power at this point. Was one of the conduits.
Yeah, but even like we have to think about the first Guardians Galaxy movie. Like the original Groot, what he did at the end when he put them all in that like group ball, the man has durability.
Oh yeah.
Like that species, it can take a hit.
Oh yeah, especially helping wield the hammer of a god at this point.
Yeah.
It was nuts to see how they used it. Like again,
it was crazy to see this like Groot grow because Groot side of the power from the first Guardians movie, and to see like the baby Groot finally start being able to do some of his moves, like when he expands his arm and like stabs people that way. That shit was like, oh my god, he's growing before my eyes.
Yeah, and we even saw that a little bit with Baby Groot in the second Guardians. You know, when he chased it,
when he grabbed the people by their legs.
Yeah, just threw them. Yeah,
but anger issues throughout the whole film.
Yeah, that was just hilarious. I was laughing when they were trying to get Yondu's fin, and he's just stealing everything. It is like not the right thing.
Yeah, but alrighty, Bloody and even King right here. So we're gonna need you for this. I think it's fair enough for us to move on to Titan and what the showdown with Thanos.
Yeah, so at this point we've seen the ship flying through. We know Tony and Peter on there, and you know Ebony Maw is torturing, you know, Doctor Strange, talking about the glass needles and what they're capable of doing, and Peter being Peter, you know, he makes his little pop culture reference saying, "Hey, you ever see that movie Aliens?"
that very old movie, Aliens.
Exactly.
Yeah. You see that old movie? Like I love
old now though.
Yeah, but you know, Tony drops down, surprises Ebony Maw, and he fires a rocket, and it hits the side of the ship and just sucks him right out into space. And we see that, you know, at this point we've seen that Peter has the Iron Spider suit on because Tony gave him the upgrade, and while he's trying to save Doctor Strange from being sucked out into space through the side of the hole that's in the ship, you know, we see that we actually first see the spider appendages, the spider legs actually pop out and hold them. And cool. I thought that was awesome because I like the way they designed the Iron Spider suit. It's more of like an armor now and real cool. But when they saw the legs, I was just like, yes, that's what I wanted out of the Iron Spider.
And it has some bleeding edge tech in it, like the way his helmet comes off and everything, like grows. And
Oh yeah. And then, you know, we see Tony freezing the side of the ship and blocking it up, and then we see their little interaction and banter. But we see the interesting aspect is that while they're heading towards Titan and finding out what's going on, is that Doctor Strange tells them that, you know, they know what's coming with Thanos, and he says that if it comes between saving you two or protect the Time Stone, I'll let both y'all die to protect the stone. And at this point, you know, they're trying to drive the ship, and it crash lands on Titan. And when they're there, they get jumped by the few remaining Guardians who aren't there just yet. And we see, you know, Star-Lord, Mantis, and Drax surprise them, and they get into a little fight, and they all explain who they are. And they're just like, who are you guys? We're the Avengers. Who are you? We're the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's like, wait, Avengers? Hey, Thor mentioned them. And you know, and they get ready to team up and start planning out what's going to happen with Thanos, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And at this point, you know, Doctor Strange is meditating. We see that he's using the Time Stone, and we first really see him starting to do more with the Time Stone here than we did back then in the Doctor Strange movie, except at the end when he's up against Dormammu. And here we see him kind of freaking out. They bring him back, and you see that he's actually going through different, like, millions and millions. And he says 14,789,000 some odd different realities of trying to find out which plan would work against Thanos. And when he reveals how many they won, we know it's a single universe where they win. And at this point, we see that Thanos had gotten the information about where the Soul Stone was from Gamora by torturing Nebula. And we know that before, Gamora was never close with Nebula until after their real repair of their relationship during Guardians 2. And she deeply cares about Nebula and didn't want to see her, you know, dismantled, because as an android, you know, she's machine, but she still has human aspects. And you know, she tells you that the Soul Stone's on Vormir. And when they go there, you know, lo and behold, as everyone announced earlier, we see the return, and the keeper of the Soul Stone is none other than the Red Skull. And this leads into something that a lot of people have wondered for years, is that when we saw the Red Skull fighting against Cap, and he had, I believe it was the Tesseract back then?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, the Tesseract. That at the end when we saw him get vaporized, a lot of people just thought that he was vaporized or turned to ash. Others thought that, it was that he was transported and that he was still alive.
Yeah, he got teleported up.
Yeah. And in the prelude,
it was somewhere in the middle though.
Yeah, and in the Prelude comics that actually came out, we found out that he actually was teleported and he was still alive. And now we know that he was teleported to Vormir, and he was the keeper of the Soul Stone. He has to watch and stay on that planet for who knows how long that he's been there, whether it was real life decades or it could have been centuries, depending on how time flows on that planet. And so while Thanos is there, he's telling them both about the Soul Stone and what it takes to gather the Soul Stone. He says that the Soul Stone will only give itself to someone when they offer something that they love. A soul. And at this point, Gamora laughs at Thanos because she says, I've waited for years for you to get what you deserve. And now here you're at your journey trying to get what you want and you can't have it because you don't love anything. And at this point, you see Thanos looking at Gamora and he's actually crying. He's legitimately crying. Looking at her. And it took a second for her.
And then as Gamora is crying, the Red Skull says, those tears aren't for him.
Ouch. Oh, this dude.
Yo. Hey, yo.
I said the Vision had competition, damn it.
Yo.
Oh, Neth. You bad for that, bro. You bad.
Yes, bro. We fine after this, man.
Yo.
They're not for him.
And Thanos grabs Gamora and throws her right off the cliff.
Wait, Neth, because someone had a meme for that one too when he threw her off. Do I have one for that?
I don't know, bro, but the shit was hilarious. You can't get the Soul Stone. They're not for him.
Oh.
The sad part about that is you saw the motivations from Thanos and Gamora. He loved that kid. I don't know why. They're probably gonna flesh that out. That he probably had a wife that gave birth to a stillborn and lost a child, and he needed a child, and he picked her because he saw the fight in her. All right, okay, you have the child, but then he never loved Nebula.
No,
Nebula was Gamora's plaything, and the fight that she had with her, call her sister or whatever, and the fight that she had with her in the last Guardians film, when she said, you could have let me win one. But as a child, she was just trying to compete and trying to win the favor of Thanos because she had Stockholm syndrome. She was, stolen as a child, and she loved her captor at the end because she was, kidnapped. To be honest with you. And raised as his own. It's a weird dynamic and it's disgusting. But this guy loves this kid because he told her he always thought that she would take his throne afterwards. So the build up to that, she didn't listen to nothing this guy is saying up until this point where they get to that damn cliff. Because I would have said what and left. This idiot.
I mean, to be fair though, where would you go? She was teleported there by him. He could easily just grab her at any point.
Yeah, it was. Even when he did grab her, she just was like punching, but it was useless.
It was useless. It was flimsy. But she didn't listen to this guy all these years talking to her and see how he treated her different than everybody else. He told her that he thought the throne was for her. So to get up there and to be arrogant to the point, you don't love anything. You damn idiot. You're done, son. Yeah. You're going over the cliff.
Because remember, too, he even told her, and he go to her from the beginning, it's just that from the moment that when she was sitting there, she's like, I hated that throne. I always hated you. And he's like, from the first time you were in this halls, I heard you say those words. And I still know them to be true. But I know how you really feel. He's known that she hated him. He known that she never wanted the throne. But at the same time, she had this weird adoration for him as a child. She hated everything, and yet she did everything.
She cried when she thought she killed him.
Yep.
Yeah. And even going back to the whole Nebula thing, like, it was kind of cool how they tied that in with the Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We saw Nebula's arc really form and why she had a problem with their sister. It wasn't because she hated Gamora. It's just what Thanos did to her. Well, she did almost nothing to Gamora, and Gamora let it happen. But it wasn't like Gamora was fighting back. She let that shit happen. So when Gamora literally saw her being split apart right in front of her eyes, like, it was too much for her because she knows what Nebula's been through. She knows what's really killing Nebula on the inside.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's why she had to give up the Soul Stone. And that's also addressing people saying she was out of character. She lost her sister.
Yeah.
Like, you can't fault her for that.
Yeah, because she came to really care about Nebula. And we saw it at the end of the second movie when Nebula was trying to leave. She didn't want her to leave. She wanted her to stay with the Guardians.
Yes,
exactly.
Yep. Let us build from what we have. Like, the last Guardians film was bonds that tie. That was the whole theme throughout the whole movie, bonds that tie. And it was melding bonds throughout the whole movie. And, you know, ones that could be fixed, ones that were going to be connected and disconnected, as far as, you know, ego and who was your real daddy and all this other stuff. Really good film. But that bond carried over to this film with her and Nebula, and to see her see it and she can prevent it this time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She stepped in. So whoever said, I don't know who is these people that's saying these things, that these people is out of character.
Next week.
They will. They should remain nameless, and they should be ashamed of themselves, because these characters has performed up to character, not below.
Exactly. So, you know who you are, who's watching this. We calling you out right now, son.
Don't let yourself be known to me, because you know my Twitter has no chill. Like, if you watch my Twitter line, I go at friends and family alike. So, I'll tell you, I have no chill at all.
I think we can segue on to the Wakanda fight.
Yeah. So, after all this, but before is after he threw her, you know, he goes back and sees the recreation of the moment that he took her as a kid.
Yeah.
And everything. And when he wakes up, he's in the water and he's holding the Soul Stone. And this is important to take note of when he remembers the connection of when he took Gamora as a kid and everything that happened on Vermeer, because it's going to play an important part at the next scene. Is that after everything that's culminated to this, the Avengers head to Wakanda and meet with Black Panther. And Black Panther, while he's waiting for them to come, he tells them that a war is coming and that we need everyone, and that I think the White Wolf has rested enough. And they present Bucky with the vibranium arm that they made for him. And at this point, we see all of the Avengers coming in. We see Bruce, we see Rhodey and Cap and everyone getting off and meeting with T'Challa. And they go in, they're in the lab, and they're talking with Shuri, and Shuri's taking a look at Vision. And as you mentioned earlier, Dave, you know, she sees what the Mind Stone is and everything that's in there. She's like, Jesus, that, you know, she has part of Banner's calculation. It has Vision's own, Ultron, Jarvis. It has Tony, and she, you know, they're seeing how they're all connected to the Mind Stone. You know, she mentions, why didn't y'all try to do these as separate calculations and blend them into one here? And they're like, oh, well, we didn't think of that.
Think of that.
Yeah. And she's just like, I could probably do it, but she's like, but there's so many in this complex machine that I would have to run every possible process, and if one thing messes up, it could ruin everything. So they're like, we have to protect Vision. So they take all the Avengers except for Scarlet Witch, who stays behind, and they all go down out into the grasslands right outside of the city and call the border tribe. They call all the Dora Milaje and even the Jabari come down from the mountains to stand.
Representing.
Yeah, M'Baku brought the Jabari there to stand with T'Challa, and that right there, I love, was a continuation from Black Panthers. That when M'Baku's there, and you see T'Challa go up to him, he's like, "Thank you for coming." He's like, "Always, brother."
It's so cool that, like, you know, because Black Panther was so recent, and to see the continuation just happen right then and there, like,
yeah,
you're like, God damn, it's like a TV show.
Yeah, well, like we saw at the end of Black Panther, you know, T'Challa fixed the separation between the Jabari and the other Wakandan tribes. You know, he offered them a hand back to the fold, and he gave M'Baku a head at the table. You know, just like the other leaders of the other tribes, he offered and brought M'Baku back in. So it's good to see that they've shown that blood tie between all the tribes coming back. And of course we see Okoye and everyone there standing by him as they prepare for everything, and you see all the Avengers getting ready as they're heading out into the field. And for poor Banner, since he can't Hulk out throughout the entire movie, he gets to bust out in the Hulkbuster suit, and just seeing him kind of walk around that, he's just like, yeah, I feel so cool. And then he trips. He's just like, oh,
yeah.
And you just see Okoye just looking at him like, the hell, boy.
Colonizer.
Okoye is a bad one. This is what I had in mind when you were going to open up Wakanda to the rest of the world. Yeah, what up?
Where the hell did he get the Hulkbuster suit if Tony's not there?
Oh shit.
Well, yeah, remember it was on the Quinjet when they were coming from the Avengers complex.
Because Happy Hogan has access to all that shit anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy had all that.
That was a new modification of the Hulkbuster suit. That wasn't the normal Hulkbuster suit.
Yeah.
No, so but remember
Tony
the
Hulkbuster.
Yeah, he made another one because remember the other one that they had during Ultron was destroyed.
Yeah, that shit got fucked up.
But why would you make a Hulkbuster suit with no Hulk?
Just in case.
You were just making armor. Like,
just to continue.
I was about to say, why does he do anything? He always has like new suits like consistently being built. Like, why did he make the Iron Spider before?
I'm just poking holes in
yeah. Shit, whatever, man. They made the shit work.
We can try it off.
Listen. It was necessary. You know, he was supposed to actually Hulk out in that suit, and the Hulk was supposed to come out. That scene was cut.
It was.
Because they actually have the toys made up of him busting out of the Hulkbuster, and that scene was cut in favor of a character that is actually their property and that they want to establish further.
Because originally they were going to use Hulk, and he was going to be in the Hulkbuster, and it was going to get damaged, and he'd Hulk out because they used that with the toys. But then they decided to rewrite his story.
Even in the trailers, you see the Hulk running with them in the Wakanda scene.
Yeah.
It's great fake out. Great fake out.
Great. Yeah, they did a great job. Like, they gave everyone fake scripts, and they even gave everyone a fake trailer. Like,
poor Tom Holland, man. They confused the hell out of that poor kid.
Yes. I like the fact that they do that.
But he's a chatterbox. They had to.
Yeah, they had to.
Yeah.
Look,
they do that.
All we know is that he lived up to his nickname as Spoiler Man.
Hey, he's not as bad as fucking
Mark
Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo's worse.
Mark Ruffalo, woo.
Mark Ruffalo's worse.
That guy. Jesus, he can't hold water. Look, you got to start deducting bucks from this dude.
Yeah, like both of them are great though. They're just great characters. I mean, to be fair, like everyone is pretty bad because everyone's had their slip ups. The only one who hasn't is Robert Downey, just because of the fact that he's the leader of everything.
I love the use Benedict Cumberbatch to fucking stop Tom Holland from spoiling shit.
Oh yeah, I love
the montage is hilarious.
Yeah, I know, right? I saw that video. It's just like they had every interview as Tom Holland, Benedict Cumberbatch, and he's just like, is there any new characters in this? Actually, I'll answer this one. Nope. because he's just making all these noises, just shutting them down. And then there was the one they're like, what about, he's just like, so do you remember that scene on Titan with, wait, no, you were probably there the night. Oh, wait, no, I can't do this. I can't do this right now. And they're all just laughing like Benedict Cumberbatch was doing overtime, keeping him from spoiling anything.
That was great, man. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was so pissed off when I heard from Mark Ruffalo himself, the Hulk was afraid in this film. I'm like, oh, shut up. No, he's not. I'm like, come on, man. And then when it happened, I said, Mark, I hope you burn today. Yeah, I hope you burn.
Dude, Mark Ruffalo, he's just a funny dude. He's a class act. And something we have to bring up too is that you know, Ant-Man and Hawkeye were not in this movie because they explained that after the events of Civil War, that the stress of everything was too hard on their families, and that they were actually able to get a deal with the government to be under like
bad that I missed Ant-Man more than a founding Avenger.
I actually missed Ant-Man.
I really missed Ant-Man. I like Paul Rudd. Like Ant-Man was a surprise hit. He was great in Civil War. I'm excited for Ant-Man the Wasp. We'll go on that on another time, but like if this would like Ant-Man the Wasp is gonna have a lot of big implications.
That movie's gonna be hilarious. It's gonna be the perfect thing after Infinity War.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. But at this point, you know, we're set for the big battle. The climax of this movie is the battle in Wakanda. Everyone's all together. The Black Order arrives of what's left, which is Proxima Midnight, Obsidian Ball, and Corvus Glaive.
Hey, Thanos' army's no joke, bro. They were killing themselves just to get past that fucking shield.
Yeah, they summoned up. They brought up the city's shields. You heard the Wakandan chant as they got ready for battle, and they're just
it was like Star Wars Episode 1.
Yeah, you just see everything just rushing. Oh, you really gonna go with that again?
It can be similar.
But
Disney is reusing stuff.
Oh no!
Hey man,
Jamie, tell these dudes to stop it.
Yeah, we use the assets, man. I'm enjoying it.
Jamie's been quiet for a little bit, man.
I mean, Jamie's just thinking this shit in.
But yo, like the setup for the Wakanda fight, just seeing like Captain America and Black Panther like take the freaking charge in front of everybody.
Yeah, because you see,
that's what Dave was talking about earlier.
The rush of the Black Order charging the shield, and they're just throwing themselves at it, just trying to pull through, and they're just losing limb after limb. After a while, they start running around, and like there's no one on that side of the defense. If they go that way,
was fucking weird. They didn't have a big enough army for that.
Yeah, and well,
when he said, first of all, there's a couple of things that was missing from that Wakanda fight. The rhinos with the antimadium horns. I'm not even gonna get into it, but and that would have been a huge asset to that battle. But when he said, "I would like for you to take down the shields in sector B12," she said, "What?"
You said take down the shields? Yes.
Take down the shields in sector B12 on my mark.
I am the king.
I am the king. You know, that was such a moment for that part. And they had so many epic good parts. It's such... Listen, take your kids to go see the film, but let them know heroes die.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We still have Jamie here, man.
Yeah. Jamie's quiet because he's trying to take in everything. He's like, I gotta write all this down. I gotta know my stuff.
When it comes to Marvel, I literally know nothing. So
that's great, and he loves it.
Yeah,
that's great.
Exactly. Jamie's learning today. He's just like, I'm getting so much good stuff. I'm not gonna look like a fraud anymore. I can actually talk Marvel.
Second time's the charm. Oh my god! But can we talk about? Okay, so the shield goes down, Captain America and Black Panther in the front, and that shit.
Yeah, you see
War Machine
Black Panther just call everyone to prepare, start charge. You see him running, and he just takes off, and you see Cap right next to him, just running full sprint.
That shit felt right.
Yeah, you see War Machine like firing rockets at the opening, trying to kill as many. You see Falcon just gunning everything down, sending off his little robots.
Shit felt straight out of the comics. Like that shit,
Yeah.
like a comic book at that point.
Yeah, because you just see them like straight run and they tackle like the first 3 dudes and just start swinging and punching, stabbing everything. And you just see the rest of the Wakandan tribe and everyone else just coming in, just bodies everywhere, just dirt flying all over the place. Just everything is going off. There's explosions all over. Everyone's in the middle of the fight. It was a phenomenal action scene. Like that was the perfect action scene, and bringing in such a scale that they were able to do was just beautiful. And then you see Proxima Midnight and Obsidian really jump out on the field and start making their moves and start attacking everyone. And you see, Hulk, or you see Bruce Banner out there and the Hulk Buster start breaking everything. But it got to the point where it was just so hectic. There were so many bodies just coming that even Black Panther got overrun, that even Captain America was just having too many dudes. That Bruce had like 7 or 8 different bodies on top of him, pulling the Hulk Buster over, and then just out of nowhere, you just see Thunder just strike and just completely decimate the.
I thought the Bifrost that struck, not the Thunder.
Well, the Thunder came after the Bifrost. Like the Bifrost went down, and then Thunder just came right out.
Yeah, and just destroyed everything. You just see Stormbreaker just thrown, spinning, and just
fucking clean.
Fucking Stormbreaker's like Mjolnir who?
Yeah, just cleaving everything in half with just thunder and just going through everything. And when he catches it, you just see Thor stand there and it's on fire. That blue fire was just beautifully added as a detail. And you just turn around and you just see Cap just staring at Thor, and he's just like, "Hey guys." And you just see him go off on it. And
he's like, hey, I brought copied my beard.
Yeah.
But I have a story about that Thor scene. Oh, wait, hold up. Bloody?
Go ahead. Go for it.
Okay. Well, no, making sure we're still live. But anyways, I have a story about that. So when the Bifrost came down and Thor did that whole electric thing, I slow clapped at a reaction. I got the whole fucking theater going. Like I legit started a slow clap at the theater.
Neth got it going. Got his W for that.
I did. I was like, yes.
That slow clap extended all the way to both times that I was watching the movie. And it's that point where, again, if you have the Hulk out, that scene is not necessary. So in order to make the scene more impactful, you have to eliminate the Hulk out of that, because if the Hulk is tearing out the Chitauri, then when Thor shows up, there won't be any Chitauri for him to kill.
Yeah.
So he actually shows up, and he's the big gun. He's the what do right now. It's happening right here at this point in time, and he's gonna tip the scales in the battle that is transpiring on the field. And I thought they brought him in with the fact that Heimdall is dead now, and Stormbreaker is the new Bifrost transportation system. They did 2 birds with 1 stone. They gave you back his hammer, and they gave you back his ability to teleport between realms. Yep. So Thor is no longer a one-trick pony. Yep. He has to call for Heimdall help.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they really did make him the big gun, because as we see him just cleaving and showing off the power of Stormbreaker, he flies off, and he doesn't have to throw it like he does Mjolnir to fly. He's not. Yeah, he just jumps off, and we see him just throwing Stormbreaker straight into the ships that are holding the Chitauri, just blowing them up by himself. While you see everyone just gunning down everything, and you see Groot showing off with the fact that he's able to extend his limbs and stab through multiple Chitauri at one time. Rocket's going crazy with his gun, and he's fighting next to Bucky. And then you just see Bucky lift him up and just starts shooting him while he's shooting his gun. And Rocket's just laughing, just firing, having a good time, and he sets him down. And he's just like, Rocket looks at Bucky, he's just like, nice gun. Is it for sale? You just see Bucky laugh, and he's just like, what about your arm? And he shakes his head and walks off. He's like, oh, I'm getting that arm. Because just Rocket and his thieving, dude, it's just hilarious. It is just the way that he looked at Bucky. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna get that. I got that eye. He's like, I'm gonna get that arm. But while all this is happening, things are getting hard. So we see Scarlet Witch come out onto the field. She comes out into the battle and starts helping out when they start bringing these big, basically like bulldozer things with blades just like coming across the field and start just tearing through everything. She shows up and starts using her powers to just kind of blow them up and shove them around.
McCoy's remark afterwards was golden, man. Like,
yeah,
up there the whole time.
She's like, "What? You were up there the whole time? Why did we keep you back?" And she's just like smiling. And then at this point, Proxima Midnight gets in the fight between the women. So she's beating down on Scarlet Witch, and she's like, "This is for Corvus." And at this time, we don't know that Corvus Glaive is actually alive, and he snuck into the palace, and he beats up the guards that are around Shuri in the lab. And when she notices him, she's trying to finish up what she can, but she grabs her Panther blasters and starts firing at him, and she gets knocked aside, and he tackles the Vision out of the tower.
How did he even get in there in the first place?
Corvus Glaive is one of Thanos's top assassins. I think he has an ability to where he can kind of not necessarily teleport, but kind of be invisible to phase through small objects.
He can't die.
Yeah,
he can't die unless
he's separated from the blade.
The blade is broken.
Yeah, the blade.
So as long as that blade is intact, he's fine.
Yeah.
When they dropped the shields down, this is what was said. When they dropped the shields down, he infiltrated and he went in at that point in time.
Yeah.
And then when Scarlet Witch took the field, when they put the World Eaters on the floor, and Scarlet Witch took the field to take away the World Eaters because the World Eaters was decimating the Wakandan troops, that's when he went into action. That big moment's action. So.
Yeah, that was his time to shine. And at that point, he knocked Vision, and Shuri reported that Vision was being attacked by Corvus and that they needed to do. And so Captain America said, "Stay here," and he ran into the jungle to go and try and save Vision. And Bruce was just behind him because at that point they were both attacked by Obsidian Maul. And at this point too, Scarlet Witch is fighting Proxima, and Proxima is about to have the upper hand, but then you see Okoye and Black Widow get in the fight, and they start putting in that work and busting her up. And in one quick movement, after they get a little fight, they shove her up as the World Eaters go through and kind of throw her in the machine, and she gets that kill.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, Vision is fighting off Corvus as much as he can. Then you see
struggle again.
Yeah, he's struggling again after getting stabbed a second time. And then you see,
at least he was just in surgery, so it's a little more forgivable.
Yeah, but you see Cap show up and start beating down on Corvus, and they're going back and forth. And Corvus decides to throw the staff at Cap, but he just kind of knocks it away, and they're struggling. He has them on the hole, but he thought he knocked out Vision, and then Vision gets that revenge finally by getting that staff and just stabbing it straight through Corvus and killing him that way.
And Vision's like, "That shit hurt, doesn't it, huh?"
Yeah. He's like, "How do you like being stabbed?"
Yeah, fucking sucks, doesn't it, huh? Through his ass.
And during this point, we see, Bruce is trying to fight Obsidian, and he's getting knocked around, and the Hulkbuster's armor is kind of getting ripped up at this point. And he's calling out the Hulk, saying, "Hey, you big green asshole! If you want to show up now, it'd be nice." And you just see Hulk freaking out. No. He's like, "Fine, I don't need you." And he just rips off the arm and just stabs it directly right onto to Obsidian, and it just fires off the rocket and sends him directly into the shield and just grinds his face into the pavement and kills him that way. Which was a pretty smart move. Yeah, you could say it's a MacGuffin the way that they did it, but for a quick action, that was a smart play. Obsidian is a man.
It showed the maturity in Banner that Banner didn't have to rely on the Hulk because he always relied on the Hulk for his level of strength. And at that point in time, he couldn't rely on the Hulk anymore, and he had to win the fight on his own. So we show him maturity in Banner as well. And
then after all this, they start turning the tide, and they they hear the call that Thanos is coming, and that he makes his fear after they all get to Vision, and they tell at this point, Scarlet, you gotta do it, you gotta rip the jewel out and destroy it. So they're all rushing Thanos after he appears, and everyone is just getting bodied as they're rushing at him. He's just using the Power Stone, the Time Stone, just phasing. Like War Machine goes right at him. He just phases right through War Machine, then knocks him down. And you see Black Panther comes at him. He Power Stones and just knocks him aside. Everyone's running. The only person who stopped him without any power was, you just see Cap catch his fist and just sitting there using all. And I mean, this is one of the moments where you see Cap really angry. You see that pure emotion and adrenaline.
I'm sorry, but Twitter fucking ruined that moment with me with that infant meme.
Oh yeah,
what's in your mouth?
That was
ruined that.
The trailer made you think it was something other than what it was. They had to slow down time, like to show it in a slow motion type of thing. It lasted a second. Cap put his arm up and Thanos smacked the hell out of him instantaneously.
Yeah,
if it was in real time. All right. So we can act like Cap was like, I'm holding you back. No, they slowed it down to milliseconds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what he was trying to do, and then because that's when Thanos used the Power Stone and just knocked him aside, and he started just throwing everyone as he's just slow walking up to Scarlet Witch. But her powers is one of the few that was actually able to hold Thanos back when she started blasting him at the same time. So
and then
she's holding him back. She still destroyed the stone, and at that moment, she finally destroys it, and Vision goes bye-bye. And he's just like, oh, that was so smart to do, but a little too late. And then he knocks out Scarlet Witch and then just uses the Time Stone and rewinds time back to just before the explosion. And so Vision already died once. And now the second time he's holding him and he's just like, I take what's mine, and just grabs the stone and rips it out of his forehead and then just puts it in. And he's just ready.
But the trauma that Scarlet Witch had to go through, she had to kill the man she loved. The one, they were like about to get married and shit. She killed him. Only for time to reverse, and then she watched him get killed by Thanos.
Yeah.
Watched him die twice.
That was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Man, like, over there and I know.
We're talking some like Romeo and Juliet level shit they just experienced, because she had to kill him and then only to be brought back and die again. And then afterwards, we see when Thanos has all the jewels, he's ready to go. And we just see that, Thor comes in charging. He's trying to stop him. Hit Stormbreaker, gets him right dead in the chest. And he's just like, I told you could beat me once, but you want to get me the second time. And you just see Thanos laughing, just like he should have gone for the head. Just snaps his fingers. And in that instant, he's teleported into the Soulverse, into the Soul World, inside the Soul Stone, and we see Gamora.
Before you get to that part, because the exact words was, I told you you're gonna die for that. For killing Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna die for that.
And Thanos like, for what? He snapped his finger.
And Thanos is getting his words together.
Yeah.
He's getting his words together. He's like, he said, what?
Yeah.
He said, what? You should have aimed for the head.
I don't get like how every other hero got there, but Thor was fucking late. Like the one dude who could do damage.
I think he was taking out the ship. I think that's what he was doing.
It was awesome. He was taking out all the ships that was trying to leave. Those out there willing and dealing. He threw the hammer and it came through, and Thanos was trying to, and boom, right in the chest. And the whole movie theater was like, yeah, he's dead. He's done.
And then they had the iconic snap from the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Man, what if like Nintendo Switch starts running with that? Oh, you like snapping, huh?
Yeah, he just snaps, and like I said, in that instant, he's taken into the Soul Stone, inside the Soul Stone, into the Soul Verse or the Soul World, as it's called. And he sees Gamora, little Gamora, standing there, and you can tell it's the Soul World because everything's orange. And she looks at him, she's like, "What did this cost you?" And he said, "It cost me everything." And then you just hear, "Was it worth it?" And after that, we snap back into reality, and Thor's just looking at him. What? No. Oh, come on, man! No, you wrote that.
I ain't gonna let you have an emotional scene, Bloodie.
But guys, real quick, I got 30 about Thanos killing everybody. Yeah. Do you think Hawkeye's family is still intact after Thanos?
No, I think they're definitely gone.
Lost somebody.
Yeah, he lost all of them. There's no.
That's
way.
how you get. That's how you get Ronin, though. That's how you get
exactly.
Ronin.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for that. I want to see Hawkeye go Ronin. I want.
You want to see
that's the only way you can make it look cool.
You want to see him turn into Ultimate Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Because there's two universes. All right. So there's the Ultimate Universe, and then there's I will say our universe that you grew up
which
on.
Is Universe 616 Prime, as it's also known as.
Right. And in that universe, the Ultimate Hawkeye is badass.
Mm-hmm.
He is badass. He's Daniel Craig, James Bond rolled up into the bullseye. He's badass, and I think we're gonna get that when we get Ronin.
Yeah, I hope so. But even when you go to the Soul Realm, you guys know this from the comics, right? Thanos goes to Farmer Thanos' life.
Old man Jenkins farm Thanos.
It was so awesome to watch everybody in the movie theater face when the credits rolled, because they thought it was going to be something else.
It was great to see everyone's face, like after you see Thanos snap his fingers and they come back and you're just seeing Thor look at him like, "What did you do?" And you just see the Infinity Gauntlet all broken and he just disappears in the portal, and everyone's trying to pick themselves up after the fight, and you just start seeing, you see Bucky walking towards Cap, and Thor is just like, Cap, and he just disappears. He just turns to ash, and you just see everyone looking for everyone. You see Falcon just in the middle of the brush, and you see Rhodes like, Sam, where are you? He just disappears right behind him. You see Black Panther pick up Okoye, and he disappears right in front of her.
Yeah, fucking Black Panther.
Yeah.
Yo, I had a guy sit right next to me go, no.
Oh man, I think
and you saw it too, because it was affecting everyone. You even look out and they're showing the battlefield, half the Wakandans of both the Jabari and the Border Tribe and the Dora Milaje. Everyone's being
M'Baku's still there.
Yeah, M'Baku holding it down, man. He gonna get his chance to shine now. But we see all that
but
happen.
Hey man, that doesn't match to what happened at Titan when you see those people disappear.
Yeah, and we go back to Titan and what was left of the Guardians and
Peter,
Tony, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. After their encounter with Thanos, they thought they almost had the Infinity Gauntlet off, but they couldn't get it because Quill got emotional when he found out that Thanos had killed Gamora for the Soul Stone.
Hey, and I'm going to speak on that because some people were saying he was out of character there. Here's the thing: when he learned that Gamora was gone, he had a mental fucking breakdown. As I said, the dude was a loser throughout his life.
Yeah.
At that time, he wasn't thinking about the galaxy. He was just thinking about what just happened. And
he was thinking about his family and the woman he loves, dude. Like
she just admitted she loved him.
Yeah, and like, come on, like the dude was in Guardians 2, he found his dad with Ego, and he was yes,
he almost said kind
of not necessarily brainwashed, but had the idea of what Ego wanted to do with bringing the universe and turning them all into him, and he was okay with it because he thought it was beautiful. But as soon as Ego mentioned that he killed his mom, he snapped right out of it. His emotions got the he's an emotional dude.
The dude has a mental breakdown.
What the hell did you just say?
Yeah. It's just like, you killed my mom.
And all that he said, what?
But yeah, when he was like punching Thanos and shit, like he wasn't thinking about anything. He was literally going through a mental breakdown. He wasn't accepting reality.
And then, after Thanos did, we're watching everything disappear. Drax disappears right in front of him. Mantis disappears, and Star-Lord realizes what's happening. He's just like, shit. And he disappears. And then the
Star Fox.
Star
Fox is the one that he turned into cubes.
Star Fox. Okay. Yeah. But,
sorry. I was just sitting there reading the books in my head.
Yeah. But the hardest one to watch and swallow was, well, this is all happening. Tony is looking around. He looks at Doctor Strange, and he, after they had gave him the time stone, he's just like, it's the only way, Tony. He's like, we're the end game now. And Doctor Strange disappears, and you just hear Peter say, Tony, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. And
I wasn't expecting
Tony grabs onto him, and he's just like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. He's just like, I don't want to go. I don't want to die. And you just
Tony's
see
like, no, this isn't happening.
Yeah, you see, because we know how Peter admires Tony. We know how he sees him, almost in a role model, but more of a father figure, and the way that he's looked out. And at that moment, that was one of those moments where Tony legitimately looked at Peter almost like a father losing his child, looking at him because he was just crying and not wanting to go. And
because Peter was his responsibility.
Yeah.
He brought him into this world.
Yeah.
He told him to go home.
Yeah.
And he's on this planet because of you.
And he gave him the means to be there.
Yeah. He gave him the means to be there, and he mentored him and took him on all this. And he looked at him like not just as a mentee, as someone he was looking out for, but like legitimately cares and feels like protective of Peter and what he does. He
just made him an Avenger like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even Peter, when he says, I don't want to die, he's just thinking like, I'm legit gonna die. I'm about to leave Aunt May behind, like Ben. Like that shit's hitting him as that happens.
Could you imagine this? Okay, because Tony already figured that because of him, all the Avengers die, right? But he didn't see this part coming. Like this part is the part, and he dies in his arms, and he's like, no.
And the only ones who are alive is the only one who's alive is Tony and Nebula. They're the only survivors there on Titan, and we see that in Wakanda that everyone else is gone. That the only people still surviving were the original Avengers, as well as a very few second generation. Rocket's the only one who did. He watched Groot disappear in front of him, and he was just like, no. As Groot was disappearing, because Rocket knew what was at stake here, and he was just hurting because he knew what he could lose from everything. He knew what was at stake with everything.
Rocket lost everything.
Yeah, he's the only surviving
Guardian.
Well, I guess technically
Nebula.
Yeah, well, Nebula is technically a Guardian too, but they're the only two left.
Yeah, but everybody's gone.
Yeah.
Like if you just thought about it, when he told Thor, I got a lot to lose. He lost absolutely everything.
Yep. And the only surviving second generation of heroes is we have M'Baku Okoye and a few others around. But not too many. We only have the founding Avengers, and we're gonna find out what's gonna be plausible.
Does Shuri become the Black Panther?
Yeah.
Because she becomes the Black Panther in the book.
Yeah, she does, but I don't think they're gonna jump that far. I think M'Baku's just gonna lead Wakanda for just a little bit. He's not gonna become the Black Panther, but
yeah, he's definitely. I definitely think he's gonna step up.
Yeah, but
we're never gonna.
It'll be cool to see M'Baku lead.
I'll tell you that we're never gonna see Man-Ape.
No. But even that you just said that earlier. Rocket, he lost Groot, the second Groot. Like you saw how torn he was about losing Groot the first time around, but to see that this kid was still a teenager and he just disappeared on him, so that shit hits.
And he didn't even yell. You just saw that like soft, defeated, like please, just like no, as like watching it.
It's heart wrenching. Like
it is.
And I know a lot of people are like, well, these characters are coming back anyways, blah blah blah. But it's like you guys don't realize we don't know that yet, of course. Yeah. But we literally just watched them die on screen. That happened. Exactly. Yeah, we can't judge something based on what we think is going to happen in the future. We have to judge something what happened.
Yeah, and
if the world ends tomorrow, all of them is dead.
Yeah, and we know that they said that to accept the deaths as they are because they're staying that way. But we know that some of these characters do have sequels. We know there's going to be a second Spider-Man movie, another Black Panther. We know certain characters are going to have to return, and there's theories that they're alive in the Soul Stone. But the thing is, we don't know the actual deaths that are going to stay, as well as any new deaths that are going to happen when we get Avengers 4 next year. You know,
didn't the director say the Avengers 4 is not going to correct this movie? Something along that line.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
saying. The way we think it is not what it is.
Yeah. And
remember this part. The Soul Stone has to take a life for a life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And the fact that the original Avengers are still remaining, you know, like Avengers 4 is their final chapter.
Yeah.
Like they are building up to this.
They're changing things up. So we know some of these people are going to come back, but we just don't know who's going to be like fully dead at the end of it all. You know, we know that that definitely Thor or Cap or Iron Man have to bite it because they're leaving after Avengers 4. They have to pass the mantle on to someone else. You know, maybe it's time for Bucky or Sam to really pick up to take over as Cap. You know, and you know, we know that they are doing a series that's tied a little bit. Is that they recently announced that they're gonna start doing the animated series of Ironheart, which is the young student girl from MIT who replicated Iron Man's armor. Could be possible that they could tease her at some point. Like there's so many things that is gonna have to set up for potential changeovers for the mantle. Like
and even like some of the deaths that like almost happened but didn't. Like when fucking Thanos stabbed Tony Stark.
Man,
the whole theater.
Yeah. Oh, like he beat the fucking armor off of Tony, like straight up.
I just said no. Like I legit like, is Tony actually gonna die there?
All right, guys. Like in my movie theater, right?
I like
kids and whatnot, bruh. When he stabbed Tony Stark, I got him. He's like, "Fuck, damn it, bro!" I got a whole theater laughing at that.
Legit. Here's the thing: if Tony Stark or Iron Man were to die, I guarantee you would have little kids crying out of the theater. Like it's amazing. Marvel has built these characters to be like even more relevant than someone like Superman at this point. Like we saw Superman die in Batman versus Superman, and yeah, I guess that was a scene, but that's nothing compared to Iron Man almost dying.
Yeah,
that's how far Marvel has come.
If Iron Man would have died by a stab wound, no coming back, bruh. So when he stabbed him, I said, "Who?"
Exactly. That's the reaction.
He didn't get snapped away. He didn't turn to dust. It was.
He's just like, no, he gone. He's not gonna be able to be saved now.
Yeah.
Ooh, man.
It was a great scene because Thanos told him because Tony went off. Tony got in him, and he said all of that for a little bit of blood.
Yeah,
and proceeded to beat the armor off his skin.
Yeah, like Thanos proved that he is no dude to fuck with. Like for a reason, he knocked everyone down and literally beat the hell out of Tony. And after this, you know, Doctor Strange is doing his mystical arts, trying to do, and Thanos just calls him out. And he's like, "You're nothing more than a cheap magician with tricks." And when you see Doctor Strange doing his clones and doing his multi art, when he brings them into the Shadow Realm, he just punches him straight out of it, right back into reality, and says, "Nope."
It
was a nice scene.
We gotta mention how Thanos fucking called out fucking meteorites. I broke up the moon and called that shit down to Iron Man and all of them. We can't.
Yeah, he pulled
Nah.
the moon Titan, dude.
That dude pulled a fucking Draco meter from Pokemon, bro. I was done in that movie.
Oh my! And then even it was a good scene because Spider-Man was like grabbing people, like, I don't know your names, but here you go.
Yeah,
like they did Spider-Man so fucking well in the MCU.
But what was great is when you're seeing them attack Thanos, and you just see Spider-Man going in and out of Doctor Strange's portals. He's just like, kicked you in the head, kicked you in the leg, got you in the
bro,
chest.
you was getting hits in though. That shit was tough.
Yeah, like he's just jumping around. He's like, got you here, got you there, got you here, and then you just see Thanos catch him. He's just like, oh god, and just gets thrown aside.
And you're like, damn, that's a kid though on the ground.
Yeah,
and Star-Lord hopping from platform to platform. Doctor Strange was very integral in a lot of this movie, and it showed exactly how versatile he is when teaming up with other characters, and how he's able to use the mystic arts in conjunction with other characters' natural abilities or their abilities as far as weaponry goes. Because when he was fighting in the park with Iron Man, he used his abilities again with Ebony Maw and stuff like that. It was good to see them show how versatile he is, and he's not just like a one-trick pony, like you said, a magician.
And he's still growing too.
Yeah, he's still growing. Like we barely see him tap. Yeah, because we barely see him touch into the powers of the Eye of Agamotto. Like barely touch into the powers that he's able to do. So we're gonna
the way they defined it, that's dead now.
Yeah, and then the way his last scene, Tony says, "Tony, this was the only way."
Yeah,
we're in the end game now, or whatever.
Yeah, the movie ends right there with everybody, sitting there. Everyone's dead. And
it's crazy, bloody knuckles. Because remember the first trailer for Avengers: Infinity War, you see Tony holding his left hand, and it's all wounded and everything. It's like, oh my god, that's why he's doing it. Mm-hmm. He's literally holding like Spider-Man's ashes, basically.
Yeah. And he's just sitting there like sad face, like completely broken down and everything. And
Nebula gets him home.
It's over.
Yeah. And
that's why they kept Nebula alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Because everything just shows that everything has happened, and the end scene is Thanos finally sitting down, like he said, when everything's done, that he finally can rest. His duty is done. Yeah. And he's just sitting out in the house somewhere, just watching the sunset.
And what's interesting was Thanos, like his one line to Tony was someone else who has foresight. What did he say? Knowledge. He said something to Tony.
There's someone.
We both have.
We're like we're cursed with vision.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah.
He said, I hope they remember you. I hope they build a statue in your name.
Yeah.
Bro, if Iron Man actually died in the movie, definitely will build a real life statue for his ass. That's how impactful he is on culture.
Man, Neth, you were absolutely right, man. You've seen that shit.
I guarantee you, kids would run out of the theater fucking crying their eyes out. Like, they care more about Iron Man dying than Superman. Yeah. That's fucking insane. I would have never believed you.
Yeah, low key in my theater, we had like a lot of kids in there, and most of them like confused on what was going on, too.
So they're like, "Wait, he's being choked out."
Yeah.
Like, mommy, what? Okay.
The big thing though was we all know that originally that Captain Marvel was supposed to have some heavy scenes here at the very end of the movie, but they ended up cutting it and changing those scenes for later for use, and that instead the after credit scene we see is Agent Hill and Nick Fury talking about how they still haven't found Tony and everything, and they start seeing that there's a car driving and there's no one in there, and what's going on. They start seeing things crashing and falling, and start seeing people run in and turn into ash. And
I was convinced that was Ant-Man and the Wasp in that car for a while, and then realized it just disappeared.
Yeah, and they look, and Nick looks, and Maria Hill disappears, and the first thing is he's just like, oh damn. So he runs into the back of the car, shoving those two dudes out of the way, grabs that pager, and he activates it while you see that it's paging and sending off the message. And in that moment, you know, Nick Fury starts disappearing himself, and Samuel L. Jackson doing his thing has to get in his mandatory motherfucker and just gets cut off right in the middle of it. And it zooms in on the pager, and lo and behold, it's reaching out to the one person we knew, and that's Captain Marvel.
Man, I was the only person in the theater who knew what that symbol meant.
Me and my group were cheering about that, and a few of the people were talking to us after the show. It's like, hey, what was that last scene? It's just like,
Bloodie.
That's right there for Captain Marvel, and they're like, oh, okay, because they recognized the colors, but they didn't know who it was. And when you said the name,
the way Marvel can build these characters without even showing them, really, because like now everyone's looking up who the fuck is Captain Marvel. You type in Captain on Google, it says Captain Marvel.
This is how bad it was in my theater. My older brother,
he had the whole internet hyped.
So like my brother, he got me the comics and everything. He didn't even know what that symbol meant. I'm like, bro, come on, man. Like, you got me into this shit. You know what this is? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Hey, he probably had a brain fart or something, but like, hey, man, Nick
was
Fury,
hoping for something else.
He pulled through for the Avengers. He's gonna pull through for the finale.
Yeah, for real, man. Though now we got 3 movies left for the next year, and that's Ant-Man and the Wasp in July. Then nothing until March when we get Captain Marvel, and then Avengers 4 is coming out next May. So,
all right, I've got to say something on this ending. So you know, everyone's been saying like, oh, like you know, the Avengers are dying that, but like towards the end of the film when Tony Stark gets like stabbed in the chest, Thanos says to him he respects him, and for that, half the planet will survive. And other than the Avengers or certain Avengers like disappearing, like there's people in the background disappearing. That's half of Earth. It's like 3.5 billion people just gone.
Just
gone. Like you know, I'm not, like I've said, I'm not really familiar with all the comics on Marvel side, but like you'd think with like 3.5 billion people just gone, you'd think that there's going to be something in the next one that's going to lead to, you know, changing that or reversing that. Maybe something to do with the time gem or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the time stone. And they did say that, and I did see reports of this, so don't quote me too much because it could change, is that supposedly Avengers 4 is supposed to have a bit of a time gap.
It has to.
It has to be. It's a little bit of a time.
Yeah.
King the Conqueror. Look for King the Conqueror
to
have a part in this, but
it would be cool.
I want you to remember. I want you to remember one thing of this film, and if you go back and you watch it again, I want you to remember that scene when Thor looks over him and said, "What the hell did you do? What did you just do?" And look at Thanos' arm. Thanos' arm is burnt up. The gauntlet looks like it's used up and burnt up. Right? And there's a theory that he used all the power that was inside the stones because he wiped out half the universe. Not just half of Earth. Half of the universe was gone in a blink. Yep. So, in doing that, do they go back in time to collect the gems before Thanos gets the gems? Because the stock photos show these characters in their old uniforms. And in past time, Thor with long hair, Captain America in his old suit.
Man, I feel bad for Cap.
Man,
that universe is trash.
That terrible suit, man. I want to see that again.
What, the bright blue? The bright
it's one from the first event.
The bright blue and red.
Hey, his Winter Soldier uniform and on looks awesome, but before that, man, that shit was trash.
Man, who do they hire for that suit? I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Winter Soldier suit started all nice.
Yeah, but there is some talks that since that Infinity Gauntlet wasn't the legitimate Infinity Gauntlet, that it was the mold that was made by the dwarves. That's why it was destroyed after he used all of them together. But there's
so you talking about the one that Hela had?
Yes,
because she called it a knockoff.
No, not the one that was in underneath. Not the one that was in the vault. There was another one, but they're saying that the one that he used now wasn't capable of because it was just made by the dwarves. That there's an actual Infinity Gauntlet that was made before that can hold all the. There's plenty of theories that we could think about what's going to happen next. And right now, with everything just being completely tight-lipped and shut down, we won't know until a year from now. So there's so many different things that they could do from here.
Yeah.
Mighty Russos.
The Mighty Russos. That's what we should call them. Mighty Russos.
The Mighty Russos. And they told people, they was like, yo, aren't you tired of doing these films? They're like,
we already started.
Yeah.
Like, the guy
love books and the money's good.
Yeah, they said they're like, we love comics. We know what we're doing. They've been good.
They really do know what they're doing.
We want the X-Men. We want everything to do. We want to do more. And I'm just like, yes, do that.
The fact that now they get to use the characters to really do this stuff. Like, they really getting the ingredients now. Like, if you would have told me that those characters would have came back and they would have acquired Fox and this stuff would have happened, I would have been like, get out of here.
Yeah.
But it's happening.
It's happening.
It is happening.
It's amazing. And as I keep saying, like, I don't know why people are down them, because Marvel's been pretty straightforward. Avengers 4 is the end of the MCU as we know it. Phase 4 is going to be so fucking different. Like, I don't know why people are like convinced like it's gonna be the same shit, but
no, they're trying to hold on to it. It's not going to be that way.
It's not going to be the same way. Like, I think Kevin Feige understands, and what happens in the comics is you got to pass on the mantle. You got to change it up. You got to bring in the new generation.
Yeah, and I've said this before, is I think that Captain Marvel is going to be the new leader for the next generation.
I absolutely do. Well, and Black Panther will be kind of like that Iron Man lead.
Yeah, and because Captain Marvel took over when Cap, after Cap died in the original Civil War, she led the Avengers and was following what Cap had left behind, and we saw that play out in Civil War 2.
Yeah, but
I'm reading that right now, so please don't.
Yeah, no.
You guys want to go ahead and give closing thoughts, I guess.
Yeah, man. Like we'll go ahead and hop out here, but we'll finish this off. But there's just so much potential with what's coming. We know, and like I've said before, with what the Russo brothers have said in the past and in recent interviews, is that with Fox, being acquired, we know that Deadpool and those mutants and stuff are going to be the first ones easily to get into the MCU. We know they exist in this weird limbo between the two, but they're the ones that are the quickest that could be able to be brought over. The actual X-Men universe, themselves is what's going to take the longest. But the Russo brothers said that with all those characters, the most obvious thing to do would be to do Secret Wars, to keep both universes separate and then to bring them together for a big thing, and that they want to do that because it would be the most obvious. Because you do Secret Wars to create Battle World to bring both universes together, and then you also get Avengers versus X-Men, both 2 in 1. It would be the perfect way. Like, there's so much potential with them getting Fox to bring up. And right now, I'm pretty sure that just got Dave's mind.
It was Dave is excited to think about the possibility.
Because I talked about that in the past, is that would be the most logical step. Let the flesh out the X-Men universe, fix them up, get them going for a bit, and then bring them both under one universal umbrella with Secret Wars to be the founding. And look at that right there. He's got Contest of Champions. That's
what I'm reading right now. You just said Battle World, and I'm like, yes. Sir, please.
Because Secret Wars leading into Battle World with all that, dude, is the way to do it. Because that's how you clear out all the stuff and then bring everything into one single universe.
And you don't need that much time to set up the X-Men. Like 5 to 6 years is enough, and then you can do a Secret Wars.
Exactly. But they need to take the time to really get the X-Men universe back in the right order.
Oh, remember we got that X-Men movie that's coming out, the Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, I've said this in the past. You take a sick dog to the back of the shed, and you let it go.
What about New
No, not you too, David. No, come on now.
No. Take a torch to that and burn it to the ground. I'm done.
No.
Let it go.
No. I've stated I like the new class, but it's too early for Dark Phoenix. Save that for later. Let it work towards it. She does not have enough.
You don't let a hurt animal keep going.
I will fight you both.
Retcon all that crap.
Yeah. Like I said, rebuild it, and do Dark Phoenix later. It's too early for it now. God damn it!
Listen to me, yo, and I'm gonna tell you with all due respect, let it go.
Oh no! Oh no!
It's done. It's done. It's wounded. It's done. It's limping along. It's a horse that can't race, baby. It's done. It's done. It's done. Get them out. Get new characters in. Fix it up. You had your shot with you destroyed Apocalypse. You destroyed your Thanos.
They can still use Mr. Sinister. Come on, man.
Hey,
no,
Dave,
they can't. Don't listen. Stop it.
Dave.
Stop it now. All right, enough.
Where the hell have you been, man? We need you on this fucking show.
Enough. Like, yo, you gotta really understand what they did to Logan. You saw what they did to Deadpool. You saw the stuff that they was doing over there. Them guys is masochists. Listen, it's over. The show was over. It's purchased. You know, somebody sat down. I really got to thank Warren Buffett. Thank you, Mr. Buffett. Because he must have been a fan. He must have been like, yo, listen, we had enough of this. Who's over there messing up with Fox? Sell it. Back to DC. Another thing. Look for this to happen. Look for if that Flashpoint movie fails, and I don't think Wonder Woman actually sells. I don't think the next Wonder Woman sells. I don't think so. Look for Marvel versus DC.
Damn. That's how powerful you think Disney is now?
I think they talked about that
because you're not wrong. You're really not.
They talked about that acquisition, and I was looking at it, and I said, well, once they acquire...
Pull up the gift, man. You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Pull it up.
If they do it and it works, that's instant rejuvenation with DC. Because remember, whatchamacallit, they said full tide raises all ships or whatever. Marvel needs competition. They need DC to do well. And if another superhero movie falls by the wayside, it affects poorly on future superhero movies. So they need all movies, because certain parents don't know Superman and the Hulk are not in the same universe. They will believe that they are. They don't care.
Yep.
But if one fails, and that it hurts us, like if people want Sony to fail or they want Microsoft to fail. Some people don't know the difference between systems, and if something fails, it brings the whole revenue down for everything. So we need Justice League to sell. We need Superman to sell. We need to have Superman stop killing people, because that's fundamentally not his character. And we need Batman to not be fat. He needs to be slender, be no more ninja-like. The Flash needs to have a backbone. The only person that was represented there properly was Wonder Woman. Her skirt was too short. I really don't like the sexism.
It was.
They kept showing underskirts.
Really well. I thought they did Vic Stone really well.
They did him coping with his new change in life. They did that well. Everything else of him, just like the CG of him, how he looked. Like the dude was like walking like a hunchback the whole movie. Like, come on, bro, stay us.
You give him the new armor at the end of the film.
Yeah.
As you said, Marvel needs true competition, and right now, DC, you ain't bringing it.
I think the problem is that DC are rushing.
No. Yeah, well,
go ahead, Jamie.
They're trying to get the bag. Tell them, Jamie.
No, I'm saying, like, I love DC, and I love Man of Steel. I loved the extended cut of Batman v Superman.
Yeah, there you go. Got to make the right one.
He gets it.
Justice League was. I enjoyed it. I'll get it on 4K Blu-ray, but honestly, it's not the lip thing that bothers us. It's just the pace of it. And I like films that tend to be longer. And when I saw it being like 2 hours long, I'm like, that's not long enough. And it's not. And that film could have been 2 years away, and they could have had other films before then. You know, maybe like an actual Batman film.
Batman Under the Red Hood. I always say that.
Yeah, and I don't like a lot of people complained about the way Zack Snyder was making films. I like the way he makes films, but it didn't land well with a lot of people, and I can understand why. But like Warner Brothers are too obsessed with catching this, you know, Marvel train, like seeing if they can get there quick, but they're not willing to put the effort in over the long term to do it. They just want to fucking pump out films as fast as possible, even though they thought that too. You know, I hate all these DC films coming out and they just get hate. And you know, for the most part, a lot of them do deserve getting hate because the way they go about it, even the marketing's terrible. They didn't put Superman in the marketing. Like, you don't do a Justice League film and don't put Superman in the marketing, but they did. Oh yeah, after 2 weeks.
They couldn't because remember, he was supposed to be the big reveal.
They rushed the death of Superman.
Exactly.
They should that movie should have been a movie within itself. But DC is doing very well in the cartoon arena.
That and their
the cartoon arena is phenomenal. Did anybody see Ninja Batman Ninja?
I'm gonna watch that May 8th.
Yeah, I'm watching that. I'm watching that now.
Yeah, I'm watching that when it comes out.
Okay, I got it. It's out already. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's out. Yeah, I was gonna say it's out. Oh, I got it. I just haven't watched it yet.
It's out digital. I'm getting the DVD.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't wait 5 seconds. I had to get it.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I ordered the statues from XM, so I'm waiting for them to come next year.
Because you make a good point, is that they're trying to quick rush their movies. Their TV shows have been well planned out and been doing great. Their TV shows is phenomenal.
I love the Flash.
They're not taking the time to do their movies. Yeah, dude. I love the Arrowverse. I love all the shows. They're well done.
All of them.
They're so well connected. They have so many teases to the comics, like so many great characters and everything. Yeah,
all that stuff.
They stay
fake
true
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, they stay true to them. But the thing is, those are well planned out, and that's from a nerd from Greg Berlanti. He knows what he's doing. But the Warner Brothers execs for the movie department are not taking the same time and planning. That's what's hurting them.
They're cloud chasers at this point.
Start a petition to get that guy who knows the TV universe to actually get a bump in pay and start making these movies and putting these characters in these movies.
It's because their new president doesn't believe in this shit anymore.
Yeah.
He said he's straight up giving up.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, he destroyed my Flash for me. I thought the Flash from the TV show was perfect, but they destroyed him.
And they're trying to make him like a Spider-Man knockoff at this point. Like,
yeah,
that ain't Flash to me.
But yo, guys, real quick, who do you think mismanaged their IPs worse, Warner Bros. Or Fox?
Fox.
Yeah, Fox had some really fucking bad movies. Like X-Men Origins Wolverine. X-Men 3 was fucking dog shit.
Fine Foster.
X-Men Apocalypse.
Bro. That Apocalypse thing, that was my last straw right there. That was the absolute last.
I didn't mind the one before, Days of Future Past. I thought that was pretty good.
That was great. Yeah.
That was good.
No, I'm going to tell you something right now, and I'm not going to go with you on that crap that you're talking about. All right. That is hands down my best books. Days of Future Past books, where Wolverine was a fugitive and the X-Men were hunted and killed, and the Hellfire Club was at the center of it with the white. Those books, that literature, that mythos, that stuff was so great, and to have them butcher it in such a manner, just to get a buck out of it. They didn't stretch it out. They didn't tell a story. They didn't do a Marvel. They didn't do anything smart. They was chasing that buck. And in chasing that buck, they lost all the bucks. They lost because, You know, fans are gonna come out for their movies. Fans are gonna support their movies. Fans are gonna see if you're gonna be true to it. You can put your twist on it, brother, but certain things you gotta keep there. Like Thanos with that had to happen.
Yeah.
Certain things had to happen to keep it, you know, close. Like when he did that to Mantis, you know, you picked it up. You said, "Oh yeah, he did that in a book." These things get you passionate and get us talking. We're talking, right? This whole podcast today is talked about that movie that kept it so true that made $1 billion in a week.
Yeah.
Days of Future Past didn't make $1 billion.
Yeah, and they had more time.
And that's it's supposed to. It's supposed to make $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
That story itself is supposed to. So it's a failure and a disservice to those characters, and just to chase a buck. So I will respectfully don't go with you there. I'm not gonna say disagree to the point where, because it was good. It was a good film.
Yeah.
But don't attach it to Days of Future Past. Like, because you had Nimrod in there. You did so many different things that wasn't necessary in telling that story. And that story could have been told through the essence. So, yes, it was a good film. But was it Days of Future Past? No, it fell terribly short of that great storyline.
Yeah, and I can absolutely see that. And Dave,
disgusting.
quick question. What do you think of that Venom so far?
Oh,
Oh, okay, shit. He likes it. All right, never mind. Abort.
I think, Jamie, I thought you.
Okay, listen.
He's like,
No.
I was looking for someone to hate it. He's like, I was looking for someone to hate it.
Listen. Okay. I know Sony's going for to establish that Spideyverse universe crap that they're trying to do, right? That's going to fail miserably, and I want them to fail so Marvel can buy them and Disney can get them. But from that Spider-Man that we got before, that Venom that we got before, right?
Yeah.
And then you saw the first trailers where CGI wasn't in, and people was like, "What the hell is going on? Yeah, that is crazy." Right? Okay. Then you saw this trailer. Yo, when the mask came on, the head came on.
Yeah, that shit was done right. I like that.
We are Venom.
Yeah,
I got goosebumps right now. Look.
Yeah.
Yo, I said, okay, I don't know how you're gonna do it, because Eddie Brock is supposed to bond with Spider-Man in order to replicate Spider-Man.
That's why I say it is that the symbiote bonded with Spider-Man, as well as Eddie Brock was always arguing with Peter at the Daily Bugle because of his obsession with Spider-Man. That's why Venom has
and making up fake stories.
Yeah, that's how. That's why they formed that obsession for Spider-Man. So I find it interesting on how they're going to handle it this way, because now they're using a different version of Eddie Brock where he's,
perfect.
Yeah.
I tell you, he doesn't use spider webs.
Nope. He uses like tendrils.
His tendrils.
Yeah, which is fine.
So yeah, that's the way they're going to get around the whole Spider-Man narrative. Until I guess maybe at some point in time he gets to bond with Spider-Man, and Spider-Man rejects it when they introduce a Fantastic Four, perhaps, and it comes off. But do I need this movie to be a success? Hell yeah.
Yep, I'm right there.
I need it to be. Yo, so yeah, I mean, I could be harsh at it, but again, it's a trailer. So at no point in time was a battle ever won from a single shot. So let's let it happen. Let it go. I'm gonna go support. I'm gonna go see the film. I'm gonna critique it afterwards. But did I like when the whole head came across?
Yeah, it was done right.
Yes. They nailed it.
Even the voice and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm there.
I know. I was the one who was a little bit more cautiously optimistic with the first trailer, because I liked the monologue.
Yeah, that first trailer was
but now the second trailer, I'm just like, all right, now I'm more sold on it. Now I see where they're going with it.
Look, I'll be honest, and so Kane, fine, you got it out of me. It could probably be a good movie. It's a Spider-Man fanboy in me that wants it to fucking fail. Because I just don't like the origin change.
Yep. You don't like the fundamental change. Like that. That's like if somebody said they injected the Hulk with super soldier serum to have him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would be really pissed off as well.
Yep.
So yeah, I get you. I feel you.
And even the Spider-Man symbol and everything is gone.
Yeah. But there's a lot of things coming up that we're gonna be, because we got that. Of course, we got the Aquaman film, and then what I'm most excited for is the Enter the Spider-Verse animated film.
Oh, that movie's gonna be fucking good. But I'm actually excited for Aquaman because that could pave the way for Namor to come a little faster.
Hey,
yeah, no, I care more about Namor, but that Aquaman's a success, and they're like, we can make Marvel on that shit, gonna print money.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you something. You're gonna be highly disappointed. It tests wrong. It tests bad. Now, the first stuff that came out of there, it said, "Oh, it was decent. It was good. They liked it. The execs liked it. All right, the exec liked it. Then when they showed it to the test focus group, the test focus group was like, so they go back and they do all these extensive reshoots and stuff like that. I hope the film does well. I feel that Jason Momoa is a terrible Aquaman. I don't believe that his Aquaman is actually supposed to be there. Fundamentally, me personally, if you would have made Captain America ginger, that's the same thing that you're doing to Aquaman. Aquaman is blonde hair, blue eyed. All right?
Oh.
That's a fact. All right? So if you're going to put him with the long locks and whatever, I don't care how you do it.
Gotta do it right.
Fundamentally, get the essence of the characters right. Get the look of the characters right. The Rock is Black Adam. Hell yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah. That's dead on. This guy that's playing Shazam.
He looks the character. The suit just looks weird.
The suit looks bollocks.
Yeah,
the suit looks bollocks.
Bro, like it's
we need Shazam to pull through, though. We need that shit.
I want Shazam to do well because Shazam's one of my favorites. But dude, like the way that they made that suit look and the fucking lightning bolt looks so god awful.
It's too much of a tone with the comic book suit. That's what I think.
No, it doesn't even match the comic book suit, dude. It looks so dumb.
The new one, it matches the new comic book suit, not the one we like.
Okay. I was about to say, because that lightning bolt looks so fat and misangled. I'm just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Jingle All the Way?
Yeah,
hey, you say to yourself,
it looks
right?
like the fucking suit from Jingle All the Way, like the fucking action figure.
Listen, I know we went crazy over. I'm pretty sure that my girl's probably upstairs ready to kill me.
Yeah, I was about to say we've been running real late today.
I had a great time, and I'll definitely come back on because you actually operate in the time that I can operate in. But I'm gonna say this, right? We have got some phenomenal films in that 10 years. If you saw in the beginning of when they put the logo up and Marvel highlighted that 10. In 10 years, it was creativity, it was uncertainty, creativity, but they kept to the script and they kept to the plan. They revised a couple of things, they moved some stuff around, but they stayed there. They gave you a timeline, they gave you a basis of what was going to come and what to look forward to in that formula. What DC and other movies are missing, because they tried to make a monster universe with the Mummy. What they're missing is that roadmap. People nowadays like to know what's coming, how it's coming, how they're going to digest their stuff. And not giving people an exact roadmap and a timeline shows lack of direction, showed they had nothing but direction and foresight. They told you this hadn't happened, and these movies got bigger and bigger and bigger because the anticipation for each sequential movie was built through that roadmap. if any exec is watching, and I know y'all watch this podcast because all these guys on here is knowledgeable. And if you're not watching it, you're an idiot. Make sure.
Sweating bullets over here.
Make sure.
Neth is love fraud.
Make sure that they go bloody. Make sure that you build a roadmap and show your patrons that you got them every step of the way, and you're gonna see it all the way through. That you're not gonna midstream switch up and say we're gonna cancel this film because that film didn't do good or that film didn't reach or meet expectations. When you build a roadmap, then you're gonna build the best possible movies going forward, because the anticipation for the next movie is greater if you do right. So it helps other directors build going forward. That's where DC is falling at. And I need them to get it together because I actually like their characters.
DC has a lot of potential, and I really do hope they pull through.
Yeah. Just gotta take their time. Just gotta take their time with it, man.
They need to take their time and reorganize what they're doing and get a solid plan, get a solid roadmap, like you were saying, and really pace out what they want to do. Don't
and you also need the right team.
Yeah,
like that's what Marvel pulled through on. They had the right team for it.
And more along it is that they need to trust their directors. You know, when like look at all the issues that came out with Justice League and Batman v Superman. You know, Ben Affleck. We can all joke on him. I like him. I liked him in BVS.
Yeah.
He's a director, you know, he knows what he's doing, and he's been in that seat. When even he questions what y'all are trying to do, you know, it shows how much interaction y'all are putting in is affecting the movie and everything that's trying to be done. That's what they need to do, is they need to trust the vision of what they're trying to establish and what their directors can do.
They're not be cloud chasers. That's what they've been trying to do all this time. Try to catch Marvel.
All right, but
cloud chasing.
Yeah, it's past 9 o'clock. So you guys want to give your little shout outs?
Oh my God, it's past 9 o'clock.
Yeah, man.
Oh God.
Yeah, we've been at this a good while, so I think it's definitely time. So
GRG.
Dave, tell them where they can find you out, brother.
You can catch me tomorrow at Iron Lord's podcast at 1 p.m. It ain't gonna be 5 hours, baby.
I don't even think you will hang up and do the whole thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long one. This was going
such a great time with you guys, man.
You need to come by more often. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, man.
I'll come by, man. Listen, it worked.
Man, you are the comic book philosopher at this point.
Yeah, but any comic book episode, this motherfucker's here.
Man, philosopher, psychologist, man, it's all of them.
Hey, look, he gave us all our props. We knew what we were talking about.
Hell yeah. I swear it felt so good that I got here and you guys knew references and stuff like that. Like, what? You read books too?
I know, right? People read it nowadays. Crazy.
I'm afraid.
I'm reading the Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man shit, like going back to it. That shit's fucking good.
I'm still moving right now.
Jamie, tell them where they can find you at, brother. Of course, they can find you on Twitter. You're never not there.
He's the Twitter king.
Yeah.
God.
Follow me on Twitter. It's Jamie Moran UK. YouTube is The Elusive Gamer. Got some videos coming out this week. I'm finally going to release me Cyberpunk 2077 info.
Ooh, because we're going to see that shit soon.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's been good being on here. It's often I hear Marvel talk, to be honest. It's fresh.
Yeah, about to say. But hey, as soon as we mentioned DC, this dude lit up. I was like, oh shit, Jamie in the house.
Yeah, Jamie woke up. He was just like, all right, my time.
I'll lead off with that next time.
Yeah. Next time
we know how to get them.
We'll get the DC talk first, and then we'll go into the other stuff.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be in Cali with Bloodie soon.
Yeah, me and you are actually gonna be in Cali this summer for E3, so you're definitely gonna want to catch us there. And hopefully we're gonna try and plan things out, and maybe we'll get Smash, and maybe Iron Lord, we might be trying to go to San Diego Comic-Con. I know we're gonna be hitting some local conventions here, so you'll definitely be seeing more stuff out of Texas from where I am, and hopefully see what we could do. But we're all of us are gonna be making moves, and we're gonna be spending out. So hopefully all of y'all are there with us on this, and you'll definitely see some live footage from me and King over E3. Trust me.
Bananas.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a movie.
We're gonna be doing crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Expect a
Once
lot of
challenge.
Yeah, especially that. So expect some deaths, maybe a lot of puking and regretting of life.
And you know, before we close out, I gotta say, shout out to the 13 people watching us live. I think we reached 20 to 25 people at one point. And shout out to the chat: David Johnson, Jago Kukin, RTA King, Blizzard Beast, Nick Nintendo. Shit, yeah, a bunch of
Nick was here.
Celsius Gaming.
Yep,
so many great people.
706 Gamer.
Yes,
Michael.
That's right.
Dakota Vodka.
Yeah, Dr. Vodka was here.
Triple Punch.
All of these people who are here, man. Seriously, thank all of y'all for being
Stinking
here.
Corpse too. You're the first.
Yeah, Stinking always is here.
Can't forget the first comers. Can't forget the first comers.
Those people that stuck around throughout the whole conversation. Thank you.
They would leave for a little bit.
Crossfires got long. Holy shit!
Like I didn't know it went that long.
Yeah.
Hey,
they kept going and coming back, and thank you all for sticking with us.
Fucking movie, and it just kept going.
Yeah, man, we broke everything down and kept going on tangents, and it was a good time.
Yeah, we discussed 4 movies this entire time. Let's be real.
We literally just gave a full breakdown and rerun of the movie in words.
Yeah.
This is the best place for you to get the full movie. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're blind, you listen to this podcast, you done saw the movie.
You want to see the movie, but you can't see. Well, guess what? We'll do it for you audibly.
Listen to it.
Yeah.
We gave it to you. We gave it to you.
Thank you for the compliment there, Jago. And remember, bro, just send us a message. We'll get you on here one of these days.
Yeah.
Always looking for guests.
Yeah, we'll reach out to you, brother, man. But man, definitely everyone who's here watching, thank y'all all so very much here. So from all of us, we hope y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll check you all later. Peace.
Yeah.